Trading pain in the heart of the fight. Shifting gears till the edge feels right. Start 'em up, hear the engines cry. Let the thunder roll, leave no doubt. All or nothing when the checkers come out. Doors beating doors in an all-out fight. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Wednesday night! Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Every track has a story to tell. Every wall has been one driver's hell. Back in the saddle we go. Ring the bell like a moonshiner. We're riding on rails. Checkers all records. Send it in, set sail. Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. This is 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 a Moonshiners Wednesday night.
The GMD Janitorial Cup Series, we'll see Victor Flugel take the MAT Liveries 300 at Daytona, his first career win in the Moonshiners Racing League. Worked up the track as Matthews. Chris Davis jumps to the inside. Davis cuts underneath. They wreck behind as Davis wins at Echo Park. His first GMD Janitorial Cup Series win comes at Coda. What a race, what a comeback. Bowie gets it done here at Coda. Bowie comes out of the final corner. Brandon Bowie back to back, he gets it done at Phoenix. Alex Murray has had to fight so many times for opportunities to break through the victory lane this season. He'll get one in Las Vegas. It's Murray in Vegas.
Adversity goes by the wayside. It'll be back-to-back victories for the rookie for Dig eSports. And now he avenges his teammate. Alex Murray wins at Darlington.
Once again, it's Bowie to victory lane. It's his third win in MRL this season. Checker flag, the off-axis paint 300 goes to Matt Cox. And a trip to go down the yellow brick road for the chance for success. Tonight, the Moonshiners Racing League set to hit the racetrack for its GMD Janitorial Cup Series. Tonight, we get set to go for the MAT Liveries 300 on Precision Entertainment. Happy with us for tonight's coverage. A lot of people a part of tonight's coverage once more. I'm Justin Prince, alongside me is Dawson Wise in the broadcast booth. Joined by Zach Kaysen, along with Jagger Finley down pit side. Tonight's camera is also brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams, with our producer being Ryan Bauer. It's time to count down to green for tonight's festivities as we prepare for Kansas. Already in the middle of April, and quickly zooming through the schedule. We had an off week a couple weeks ago, remember, but Bristol was wild. We set up for a busy next couple weeks before that All-Star race in mid-March.
Yeah, JP, a trip to the heartland here in Kansas tonight, and a return to normalcy is what I want to call it for a lot of these guys. Our first cookie cutter since March the 18th after a few odd tracks, a couple of short tracks, and a ton of chaos. A lot of these guys ready to get back to basics. Kansas, a good opportunity before we get right back to chaos next week in Talladega.
Talladega is going to be a busy one, to say the least. And in turn, even with the back step we've seen from Brandon Bowie much of last time out of Bristol, he still has a 45-point advantage over Alex Murray. Brandon Fenner plays minus 77. Matt Cox with the success last time out at the very end of the race, at least, within 100 points along with Alex Coffey. Then you look towards the cut line, and towards that conversation, you have 3 drivers separated by 6 points on the cut, and about 4 drivers separated by about 13 points. Pretty tight early on in the quest in pursuit for the championship. All part of the Impact Sim Designs chase. But Kansas itself is a very fun track for some. Could be a difficult one tonight, though.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be difficult, and here's why. Because this track has changed in its character over the past several weeks from the updates to not only the track surface, but also to these race cars. A lot of running the bottom tonight is what I've seen so far this week. The outside works at certain points. We'll talk about that throughout the night. It's going to be a lot of running down on that white paint on the bottom side of the racetrack. Not many opportunities to make passes.
Absolutely, especially with this mile and a half. Keep in mind, one of the things we'll see is potentially a few drivers searching around for grip. Better yet, search around for clean air. Much of the field throughout the week ran at the bottom of the racetrack. Long run, though, that tended to be the place to thrive. As we finish things up here at that discussion point, it's time for your poll award, brought to you by Victory Designs. Victory Designs, the presenting partner of your poll award, which tonight goes the way of Nico Garcia. He puts up a 29.695 over Chris Davis. 29 1,000s up. A different front row for tonight. Paul Gallimore also a different look, going with the white card tonight, alongside Hunter Carmichael in your top 4. Brandon Fenner Place will start at 5th tonight, alongside him Alex Coffey in a blue and yellow machine. Then you'll switch back to row number 4. It's pretty close if you want to find Brandon Bowie. He also has Alex Murray next to him, within about 2.5 tenths of the pole. Braden Donaldson, haven't seen much of him this season, to say the very least. He has a 67 paint, but is 24 in sim. And Aaron Matthews, should say, is your top 10, Dawson.
Row 6, we'll see William Owens, a great start to the season in 2026, looking to keep it going tonight alongside the big eSports entry of Corey Moore. Row 7 will start with Nick King. Haven't seen a ton of Nick King towards the front, hoping to change that luck tonight in Kansas. He'll go from 13th. Sean Rogers for BMP goes from 14th spot on the outside of row 7. Row 8, Tim Harper, a newer look for him as well. Gray, black, and red aboard his 23. He'll go from 15th. It's Kenny Reel that will start from 16th for the Red Line team. Row 9 sees Jose Medina, a new black and yellow Pacifico look on his Toyota tonight from 17th. Familiars, silver, red, and black for Mark Sanchez in 18th. Blake Hochschild starts from 19th, a bit of a rookie phenom in this series so far this year. Ryan Catalano goes 20th for Top It Off Hot Sauce.
Yes, indeed, and Johnny Shea will start 21st and turn 7 tenths off the pole. Blaine Wilson, 9 tenths off at 22nd. Great car. A whopping 5 seconds somehow off the pole. It's even further for Trevor Swarnoff, who crashed after his qualifying run 24th. And Matt Cox wanted to start at the back, I guess. He set a whopping 2-minute, 6-second .489 for your last driver on driver times. The last cars are Vincent, Treat, Christensen, Sanders, Mills, and Metler. Here's a look at your race analysis tonight. 45-45, 110 in terms of the overall lap distance tonight in the field, Dawson. These drivers, in turn, don't have to think about the green flag stops until all the way to stage 3, where it's essentially an A-open.
Yeah, stage 3 is going to be the big one if this race gets into a green flag run, which is not something I've seen a ton of so far this week, so some uncharted territory in terms of the tire life on board these race cars and the fuel life on board these race cars. I can tell you tire fall-off so far has been severe, but in terms of taking some on a green flag pit stop after a full run, haven't really seen the extent of what the tire fall-off can be. These drivers will race the track first, figure out where the speed is, then try to race each other. And then, oh, by the way, you got to make some strategy decisions when it comes down to business time.
Absolutely here, Dawson. It's going to be a wild night, but we also have our pit reporters that are standing on by as we get ready for that Van Louis Sticker start zone / restart zone. Zach Case amongst those standing on by as we get ourselves set to go. And Nigel Christensen gets in the OL. Zach, what have you heard story-wise?
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. It's always fun coming out to Kansas out here in the Midwest, and I think I want to really touch on expanding what you guys talked about with this racetrack. I know when I used to come here, I always loved being against the wall up top, but that's something the drivers are going to have to really search for and wait for the grip to come in. I don't expect a lot of speed up top till around stage 3 once we get past and we get over 100 or so laps in, but I'm very excited to see what these drivers want to do here in the middle groove and even down low right on that white line. So I'll have plenty of stories for you tonight on pit road. I will check in with you guys later.
Absolutely, Jagger. I know you've got a busy night yourself as the track itself works into decent conditions. Track temp 99 for reference. What do you take note of as a competitor?
Yeah, so Kansas, it's a very fun track. You can definitely run it pretty quickly here. As the night goes on, I do expect the track to kind of maybe maneuver a little bit, definitely keep it towards the bottom. Hopefully it'll rubber in. You need a lot of rubber to be able to run that top properly. I don't know if it'll get that point because it takes a lot of rubber in order for you to be able to run the top, but hopefully these drivers can keep it like that and they'll be able to run the top of it eventually maybe.
Thank you very much, guys, as we get set to go. Stage 1, remember, brought to you by Collegiate Football Simulation League, the top collegiate simulation league. Create your legacy by visiting collegesimleague.com today. Coming up to the Van Louis Sticker Start Zone for tonight's festivities. We're happy to have you with us. Our Precision, the MAT Liveries 300. We're underway from Kansas. Clean start for the field. Jim Treat, Nigel Christensen amongst those that are going to have to serve penalties in here. Seems like they're both having a peel on down with that as a result of last time out. All while the race for the race lead is on. Davis on the outside, Garcia on the inside.
This is where the outside will be very interesting. Up against the wall, not much grip trouble. Coffey's around the 54. Gallimore gets turned right in front of the field. A multi-car accident on lap 2 is going to collect a bunch of them.
Caution flags out with an early big one. And just like that, Harper and a lot of others collected. Many of the aero cars and a lot of dig entries were right into the Hornet's nest for our first top and off Hot Sauce Company replay of the night. You mentioned Coffey off by name Dawson. He was trying to rip 3 wide.
Actually, it worked for him. I was a little surprised at how well that worked, but he gets clipped by Carmichael off turn 2 and nowhere to go. The track gets blocked. Gallimore goes around. Coffey goes around. And there are a number of cars that had nowhere to go in this. And you're on board with Matt Mentler, and he's almost creeping to a stop. On the entrance of turn 3, I saw Corey Moore involved in this. Blake Hochschild's involved in this. Catalano in the 92. A number of cars. You mentioned Harper. There's a number of dig cars, a number of aero cars, a number of heavy hitters. Coffey looked to be the fastest car on track the opening 4 laps. Just like that, your night can change, and early for the 54.
See, Catalano actually had to bump into the wall at first and then rams into the incident. I believe he got one of the Precision sponsor machines in front. Yes, it did. That's Hochschild who just got collected at the very end. Then you have errors like Moore. Threading the needle? No, the needle instead gets stuck in the hole. As that puts us under yellow once again with the Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay. See 50% off the entire order at topitoffsauce.com. Use the code MRL15. Here's the 38. Looked to be okay until that hit from behind sandwiched him into it.
There's just not much you can do about that in the race car either. He did everything he needed to do to miss this incident. You'll see here, he gets on the brakes, and as you watch out the back, he's going to get one hit from behind from Catalano right there, and into the incident he goes. There's just nothing you can do as a driver. Now, the good thing for him and really Harper, Nick King, and a couple of others, the damage not as severe for Coffey. We'll wait to see what his damage looks like. Same for Paul Gallimore, Corey Moore, and a couple of others who were more involved in that one than others. We're hearing from downstairs from Zach Hayes and Alex Murray may have some damage as well.
Yes, indeed. Zach, let's head to you on that information.
Yeah, just listening in on the radios, it looks like Alex Murray might have a little bit of nose damage, so he was talking to his team, getting guys in front of him to check that out in the rearview mirror. I think the biggest thing, though, now is we're 4 laps in, right? For the guys that have that minor damage, they're going to be able to fix it all by the end of stage 1, right? I think we'll have a couple more cautions here earlier on in the race, but those guys that have some major damage, the strategy goes out the window, right? You're trying to fix everything, stay on the lead lap, and probably get your race car back into shape by the end of stage 2, so you're ready for that long run. Back up to you guys.
Thank you much, Zach. As again, we're getting ready for the restart coming up here with the one-to-go signal. It's Garcia, Davis, Carmichael, Bowie inside the top 4 with the caution period. So we get set to go for the Van Louis Stickers restart zone once again. And when you have a chaotic situation with it like that, Dawson, here, how do you get back to the mindset to go forward to make sure it doesn't happen again? Because Kansas normally is not a caution-free caution track.
It's not, and especially with Talladega looming next week, it's definitely not in comparison to that place. And when it happens this early, I think that is the most important part of it as a driver, is you look down, you see what lap you're on, you realize there's still 195 to go in this race, and you kind of take a deep breath and reset and say, I'm going to chip away at it, work away a little bit at a time. You no longer have a choice. You've been involved in the accident. It's already happened. The best part of it is it happened with 195 to go rather than, say, 5 laps to go.
Well, we're just about set to go for the restart zone. Here's a reminder of those stages. Remember, 300 miles, you're 500 kilometers. Basically, you can drive to Toronto on that distance, give or take, if you want a comparison for the kilometer. But for Garcia, great qualifying effort. Backed up here for the Van Louis Stickers restart zone. Green flag is out, back on her way. Inside line moves first. And no side-by-side chance for Davis as a result.
Back Davis is going to be attacked here by Carmichael on the inside. A pair of aero cars there. Carmichael looking for second. Bowie has cycled forward to 4th. Of course, the guy that does like these cookie cutter style mile and a half, but a bit of technical issues for Bowie here early in this race on lap 6. Garcia away with the lead, 2 wide for second. And look at all these cars run right down to the white paint in turn 3. Only a few, a lane off the bottom. Davis files in as well. It's a freight train through 3 and 4.
Yeah, a lot of people are trying to just stay to the bottom of the racetrack with that early caution period now. Here's the look for Matthews for good measure. Only one person in the entire top 15 is even up past the first groove, William Owens. And one of the major things I noticed when calling some of the league action at Kansas over the course of the past week was if you end up running the high side, usually use that to gain some offense and then try and cool the tires off. It's going to be important that you remember that second point, because if you just stay top, that car's going to get tight.
Yeah, you're going to burn the tires off of it and burn them off quickly, but to make quick moves like Owens has been doing and to only run about a lane off the bottom, that's not going to hurt that car quite as much, and he's making it work right now. +7 on the race, up to the 4th position. Trouble out back almost. Couple cars off the racetrack, mid-pack further back. That's actually around Alex Coffey and Catalano and others. They're still jostling deep in the 20s in the field. 3 wide, multiple rows deep, rather, around a couple of those dig cars that were involved in the first caution.
You see right now the importance for them to try and get the track position so difficult to get ahead. Matt Cox, remember all this, is also a part of this sea of cars as they're nearly into Medina. And here we go again. There goes Coffey. Second slide of the night. This time, he'll slide to the inside wall, but no one else around for the caution.
The luckiest part for Coffey is he did not come back up into the field, and he did not get a huge amount of contact off that inside wall. Quick look at the Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay. Cox gets squeezed down by Medina, who may have gotten the fence. Coffey, nowhere to go for him. He gets around and does a good job of not taking too much of a hit on the inside wall. It is smoked up the back straightaway, though, as the field rockets back by and puts Coffey deep behind the 8 ball.
It feels like clockwork for the past 6 weeks just about now, Dawson. Coffey has, whenever he's had track position, just had it absolutely implode. But on another note, Kenny Real at the very least is doing very well. He's up 7.
Yeah, the driver for Redline. These guys, I'll tell you what, have been trying to dial the setups in for the last several weeks. Have added a couple of cars to their team over the last few weeks. We saw a career best run for their driver Cody Nagels last week. Of course, have had other good runs throughout the season. For Kenny Real tonight, inside the top 10, looking to go forward. We've seen these guys get faster over the last several weeks. Kenny Real's got some early speed. He runs right in behind Rogers, but he'll get attacked here. Johnny Shade's on the move, and I wondered how long it would take guys like Shade and Christensen to start to get into the rhythm of the season, both playoff drivers from a year ago. Looking to get into 2026, got bad starts, and now they start to be finding their rhythm. Johnny Shade about to enter the top 9 for the first time tonight.
Yeah, you see Sean Rogers for his measure. He's keeping the green room here tonight. Right now, his red machine in amongst the top 8 here, just trying to keep smooth on the wheel movements. That's one of the major keys here in regards to it. And some of the fastest drivers over the week were the ones who kept the wheel smooth.
Yeah, keeping the wheel smooth in this next-gen car since the updates have really been the most important part. We've seen how many times this car overcorrects in a bad way, especially these mile and a halves, and that's not something we saw for the first couple of years of this race car on this service. It's gotten a couple of changes over the past couple weeks. It made it even harder to save, and so keeping a smooth wheel, keeping a smooth line been so important. It's important right now. How about the run for Owens as he battles Bowie for the 4th spot? He's up topside, but look farther behind him. Braden Donaldson. We have not seen a ton of him this season, but he's inside the top 6 and looking to get more right behind the Owens and Bowie battle.
I was about to say, we haven't seen Donaldson at all. Was just double checking to the points metric. But the answer is first time out. And you see him getting the chance to appear in the 67 on track. But in sim, believe he accidentally took the number away from the 24. That is usually what we see for one of the other drivers. Barry Sanders, by the way, the boss man. He's amongst those well down the order. Not usually expect to see the boss man this far back, even early on.
Well, he's one of the guys that did not lay down a qualifying time earlier on. Now, to be up to 17th this early is certainly an achievement. Only 16 laps into this one, so he's got some early speed underneath that aero entry. You're on board with Ryan Catalano as his comeback effort begins in the 92. Remember, involved in the incident a moment ago. He's up now to the 22nd position, almost back to where he started, looking to re-enter the top 20 right in front of Jim Treat, Trevor Oswald, a couple of others who did not get a qualifying lap in. Chris Vincent's up 16 as well. Should be noted that Vincent just entered the top 10 for the first time tonight as well in car number 33 as he continues his great start to 2026.
Yeah, he's been slowly but surely improving, I think you can argue, because I've noticed he's gotten a little bit higher and higher on his average, at least for the eyeball test, as of late. Look who's also charging, by the way. Shade, with that, able to get ahead. But remember, Shade is also one of those really abusing those League Gaming car tires right now. Just trying to find a way to get himself car forward. And that 45, as a result of 10 to Vincent 16 as the clouds come over the track.
Well, again, it's been a bumpy start to the season for multiple drivers, and Johnny Shade's one of them. Just has not had the luck go his way. Man, got squeezed in the fence right there by Vincent. Nick King going to try to pounce. That would be for 11th, as Shade, can't imagine he's too happy with that. You're on board with one of the other Dig eSports cars. Talked about Alex Murray's nose damage a little bit ago. It's not appear to be affecting him too much, but guys like Shade, guys like Christensen, there's a couple of others that come to mind. Blaine Wilson's another one. Playoff drivers that did not get the start to 2026 that they've wanted. And really, in terms of the luck factor, you could almost throw Coffey in there. I know he's top 5 in points, but the last 6 weeks, Guys have had bumpy starts or bumpy stretches they're trying to get out of. A lot of them having really good runs tonight. Look at this move. Blake Hawshell to the bottom of 3 wide on Treat. And one other car is, man, this is a mess back here just outside the top 20.
Yeah, Treat that time lost a ton of momentum down the straightaway. And here we getting turned around for good measure, by the way. Look back up at the front of the field with Aaron Matthews in again. And Matthews, again, one of the main consistent marks in terms of the aero camp. Seems to run pretty solid, race in, race out. Point standings wise, though, he is the cut line. He's grouped up with some of these other drivers you see like Rogers and Donaldson. Now, by the way, in the case of Donaldson, that is a dig entry here in this series. First start of the season for that driver just behind Rogers in the 67 paint scheme as well. He's been with a fair amount of group setup-wise over the past year. Was with CFM Performance at the midpoint of last year. That's the team Vicente Salas builds for, etc. on that side. But also eventually moved to EPI, but now with Precision in terms of that camp with the dig cars here tonight as he tries to get comfortable. As the track temp itself, by the way, as we've gone, you see how much that's moved. It's up 9 already.
It's going to affect the Goodyear Eagles on board these race cars. It's not going to help the handling at all for the guys behind the wheels of these cars right now. It's going to make tire saving even more important than before. As the temp gets higher, the wear will be higher and the grip will be less, and that builds both tight and loose. You'll see it loose on cold tires later on. You'll see it build tight on the longer runs as we go. This run, by the way, already just about 17 laps long since the caution. A lot of guys did not opt to come get a set of tires. So we're already almost 25 laps into a run already, and we're seeing fall off in the near 2 to 3 tenth range for a lot of guys, even actually further back, 8, 9 tenths, almost a second of fall off for the best lap times we saw get run early in this run back around lap 5. So you're already seeing that much fall off. By the way, still 23 to go in stage number 1. And as we watch back around Kenny Reel and Alex Murray, by the way, looking for the 11th spot. You're back on board with Reel. Slowly but surely, Chris Davis starting to lure in the Nico Garcia machine for the lead.
Yeah, a few different shuffles here. You see Murray at least trying that second line. That's the one thing I've noticed this week. See how Murray's got the outside power? If you can get it to stick without burning up your stuff, that's been more of a prominent line than it has been the wall. So a few drivers can search around there, get that clean air with the front nose, albeit risking a little bit more tire wear with that line. You'll watch right here just where some of the key people up front go here. See your biggest movers on the right side of your screen. You see how they're moving up? Owens right now amongst those preferring the second line than below that first seat.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why when you're on offense like Murray was right there, actually a great visual to get on board with Kenny Reel and watch Alex Murray make that pass. And it's because when you run the fence, you might get a really great drive off, and it might be really beneficial late in a run when the speed, especially on exit of the corner as that car builds tight, when you need more speed, you'll typically move up and see guys run the wall. Think Kyle Larson, for example, on a Sunday afternoon. Well, when you run that second line in this race car, the way iRacing's got it set up, the amount of side force you can generate by getting to the right rear of the car in front of you can almost pull you around them, make them have to lift. It actually forces their car to rotate a little bit less, gives them a little bit less grip, can allow you to then make the pass pretty easily, as we saw Murray do right there. Kenny Reel, close call there, off turn 2, almost saw his night get derailed.
Didn't really have any reaction to that little bit of contact, by the way, with him, and I believe it was Wilson he's great with, along with potentially Carr. Now, shuffle a car back if we can, because from there you'll find Matt Cox, who is slowly now taking the approach to attack. You see the side-by-side there, but the Bears machine is on the move. He's looking to try and see if he can go back-to-back. He's the defending winner at this circuit after all. He won the last time out here in the fall.
The defending winner at Kansas, also a winner at these cookie cutters multiple times over the last several months as well. Remember the playoff winner from Las Vegas last year as well. So a guy that knows how to get around these D-shaped ovals. No surprise he's got some speed. Now he's trapped in a little bit of an air pocket right here. The guys in front of him, Reel and Carr, running too wide. Not much clean air to go around. What does he say to that? He says, I'm going to go to the fence. I'm going to get up in the high rent district and see if I can't get anything. I'll tell you what, he's benefiting off of it as we look just a little bit further up from them.
Yep, you see that at the moment. Some of the errors in the battles. There's Donaldson trying to find a way to get something, anything going here. Getting hard to do. Owens claps the wall. Here comes Rogers with the power back. Just got boxed in though. Couldn't clear himself with the BMP entry as Owens gets himself on the wall again. 30 is playing a dangerous game here on the tires, and Rogers zips on by the inside to move up a spot.
Tell you what, a couple weeks after the off break for Sean Rogers ran so well at Bristol last Wednesday night, and now finds himself on the verge of jumping back into the top 5 here at Kansas as well. Of course, it did not end the way Rogers wanted it to. Almost contact, may have been some there with Donaldson, may have been some behind them with Matthews and Vinson. Back to Rogers last week did not end how he wanted it to at Bristol. He's looking to change that here tonight in Kansas. But that car has been so impressive the last few weeks, running around right around that off week.
Yeah, but you see, just as we search around with the race leader here, you see Garcia stays up in front, less than 15 to go, coming up in the stage. Right now, every lap going the way of the 8 machine. He's also got the fastest lap, by the way. That's the 29.9s. He and Owens are the only two that have set times that quick so far. Later on in the race, we may see that time get challenged, though, by stage 3 with the track temps. But at the point here early on in this type of a race, this is to where you can tell just how difficult it is for a lot of people to get ahead of the Hornet's Nest. Drivers like Wilson, though, amongst those continuing to progress forward, up 10. He's right now caught up to Kane and company, who are fighting for 10.
This is where patience is so important as Blaine Wilson works from that 12th position. He wants stage points, but you got to be patient here because if you make one wrong move, we've seen earlier what can happen to a guy like Alex Coffey. He's been in a couple of them now where you get in a bad spot, something happens around you, and all of a sudden your race is derailed. So if you're Wilson, give it some time, be a little bit patient. Only 13 to go in stage 1, but he's making the pass now for 11th. He's going to have an opportunity to put himself in a stage point position here in just a couple of laps. So you got to be patient, not derail your race at the risk of a couple of stage points here. Murray shoots the bottom, right down to the white paint underneath Nick King. 22, the Shamrock Toyota looking awfully sporty. King trying to hold the right rear. Will do it here off turn 4. They'll stay 2 wide. That is for 9th. Alex Murray, that car is dialed in here late in stage 1 as he tries to gain a couple more spots. Vincent and Owens next on tap for him.
See just how much Wilson's having to modulate the throttle. Murray slid his tires too. Yet again, as this is going on, the longer the run goes, interestingly enough, all of a sudden, now that we're past 20, 30 laps, a few drivers are saying, I may as well try the top. And a lot of people are moving up. It's getting to where you somewhat feel like old Kansas here. Remember, old Kansas, and I'm talking 5 years ago Kansas, you would block to the wall. Rogers with the outside, zips on by Carmichael to hold on to the top 5 of the Euro car.
Yeah, Rogers very sporty. Again, we talked about him earlier. I'll tell you who else I've been watching. He loses a little bit there in turns 3 and 4, but Brandon Bowie has cut this gap down. He's catching Davis and Garcia both at the same time, running the best lap times in the field right now. Donaldson's up to 4th in the 67, and he's running comparable lap times to the leaders also. So a couple of cars now found some long run speed. Put that in the notebook for stage 3, the longest of the 3 stages tonight. Davis got the wall in a big way there off turn 2. He got it flush with the right side of that 87.
See the last lap for reference. The fall off already past 1.3 seconds for much of the field. 1.2 seems to be about the average for a couple. But Wilson is trying to get up and take advantage of the 30, who's really chewed up the Goodyear Eagles this run. Again, Owens just drifted up the track and hit the wall. Wilson just took advantage to pass by the Dick car. And that's the punishment you pay if you're Owens here. Paid the toll of, I want the spots now. He didn't complete the second task of cool the tires. He kept on attacking, and now he's plummeted out of the stage points.
Well, drivers are getting that balance early in this race, knowing the track conditions now as well, and how those are changing. They're writing down in their mental notebook for stage 2 and the longest stage coming up later in stage 3. They're writing down exactly what happens to their tires. Obviously, not a ton you can do now. If you burned them, you've burned them. If you're guys like William Owens, King gets the wall right in front of Murray. As we go up to Braden Donaldson, How impressive is this? Series debut and challenging the man who's won a few races already in 2026 in Brandon Bowie. Gonna have to back out right there. All of a sudden, Donaldson's the man on the move. Late in stage 1, 8, or make it 7 to go with the line. Donaldson may get to the top 3 by the time this is said and done.
Yeah, this has been a pretty solid end of the run pace, at least, for the 67. Not so great, as we said, for the 30. Great car about to tack him in his machine. Having to dive his way to the inside and make the pass for good measure. Well, we're coming up to 6 to go now in stage 1 here today. Alex Murray, after picking up the contact early on with the early incident, he's slowly but methodically cutting back to where he started. This move coming up with the 12 would put him right back to dead even in terms of his movement in the stage.
Yeah, right back to where he started, which I think would be, all things considered, a moral victory. You know, obviously you want to go forward. You want to get more stage points than where you'd like to start the race. Going to try to make it 2 for 1 here. Man, how about some late run pace under this Dig eSports Camry? As he trying to get a couple of spots right there, go all the way to 7th around Hunter Carmichael. He'll attack him here once again. 5 laps to go, stage 1. Murray down to the white paint. Carmichael in the middle. King up on the fence. 3 very different lines. What a visual right there as guys experiment for speed. King's in the wall again. Wilson's in this, and so is Matt Cox. The 32 looks for points as Murray shoots down to the white paint again. He's on Carmichael for 7th.
Yet again, Cox trying to attack as well. See a couple of those moves going on. Carmichael losing a ton of ground the past couple laps all of a sudden as well. Only 4 to go, coming to 3 to go in stage 1. There goes Carmichael. Look how much he has to let it roll. That goes backwards. Cox is by on the outside. He's now amongst the top 10 with that move to knock Nick Kane's Warrior car out of the top 10.
Yeah, and a couple of other things have happened off screen since we've looked away. Braden Donaldson got past Brandon Bowie. That's for P3. Sean Rogers is attacking Bowie. That would be for 4th. All while Chris Vinson closes on all 3 of these cars. And the black and yellow 33, he's at the tail end of your frame. A couple of those BMP entries really good in long run pace. Wilson and Cox battle for the 9th spot. Wilson holds on for now on the outside as Carmichael gets the wall up to a lot of guys as they've experimented with lines and burned their good years, have hit that outside wall. Way too much into 3. Nick King almost got Hunter Carmichael. 3 wide off 4. King's going to get turned. The 12 sideways off the bumper of Blaine Wilson trying to make the save, and he does. How about that for Nick King?
How in the world did he hold onto the race car? I think he hit at least 5 different cars to balance himself, and somehow, some way, we're at 2 to go on the stage. Couple drivers really slowed up there. I don't know where he was going with this set.
I wonder if he wanted to throw a slider, but he was never going to get far enough to throw that slider. And look how smooth on the wheel for being sideways once, twice, 3 times. Gets down to the apron, gets sideways again, and gets that thing back underneath him. That's a race saver right there for King.
Want to go in the stage, by the way, as we go about. Garcia's led them all so far tonight, his pace. Keeping a little bit slower than the closing Chris Davis last time by. But the average has been there to stay steady. Green, white checker flag. Garcia. Stage 1 goes to him. That's over Davis, Donaldson, Bowie, Rogers, Vincent, Murray, Cox, Carmichael, Carr. He amongst the top 10 as the green, white checkered turns into yellow to end off stage 1.
An entertaining stage 1 to say the least. A number of cars have a lot of long run speed that I'm now looking forward to seeing once we get into that extended stage 3. But does anybody have the pace to beat Nico Garcia, who is so far head and shoulders the best car in the field? We'll see what guys that have now gotten in position to get to him have for him. I think of Donaldson, I think of Vincent, I think of maybe even a Brandon Bowie, and of course Alex Murray amongst the guys. I'm curious to see what they have now. But Garcia, that's impressive for him, wire to wire.
Extremely impressive to say the very least here after stage 1, and the field will catch up. The iRacing pace car. Vincent, your biggest mover, by the way, is up at 20 spots so far. Matt Cox, who did top off during one of the early caution flags, is plus 17. Greg Carr also up 13 on some of the double-digit gainers. but should see 4 tires and fuel all around. My main question is, where do we go adjustment-wise here, especially knowing coming up here, track's hotter, but also something's got to have to give if you're going to find a way to keep it with that 8 long run.
I think you'll see a number of guys try to free up their race cars right here. We saw a bunch hit the outside wall, getting a little bit too much off of the exit of the corner. I think you'll see a number of guys try to free it up, get a little bit more rotation, long run, try to pivot to where they can get to the 8. We've not even seen an attempt to pass him yet, let alone get to him at any point really there in that last run of stage 1.
Here we go, pit stop time. Zach, let's throw it down to you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, heading down pit road for the first time here at the end of stage 1. A lot of adjustments coming from a couple drivers. Dig really looking to adjust some springs, trying to loosen the car up. Some drivers want to tighten it up as well, but mainly it's trying to free up that car in the middle of the corner and on entry as well. Some drivers a little loose off exit. We saw them hit the outside wall, so those guys are trying to tighten it up on exit there. And then an interesting point from Arrow, talking about the other drivers in the field. Some drivers complaining about how aggressive their counterparts are, so just something to watch moving forward here from that Aero camp.
Definitely interesting. And as a result here, coming off pit road, Garcia, Donaldson, Davis, your top 3. We'll take a quick step aside. Precision Entertainment has all your coverage of MRL here from Kansas. We'll be back after this. Want to go signal here on the racetrack as we get set to continue our coverage of the MAT Liveries 300 here tonight as we begin stage 2, brought to you by RS Button Boxes. Justin Prince, Dawson Wise in the broadcast booth with you here as we get prepared for the restart. So far, so smooth coming up to the Van Louis Stickers restart zone. Right now, Dawson, the main mission is simple. Can you find a way to pass car number 8?
You let every lap in stage 1, and it's let a few here to start the opening portion of stage 2. Now a new challenger, though, on his outside. Donaldson to the front row off pit road. He beat Chris Davis. Does Donaldson have anything for that red and white number 8? Van Lilly Stickers restart zone, green flag. The immediate answer is no. Garcia off and running. Donaldson missed the memo. Davis forward to second. Donaldson trying to make a hole on the bottom. Sean Rogers says absolutely not. Throws the door closed. Rogers may get to third by the time they reach the backstretch.
See Maria Alonso is trying to high side to begin things off. Got boxed in though. Able to get himself up a spot with it though. And a lot of the field making it clear, though, they don't want to burn up the rubber. A lot of marbles are flying, if anything, in 3 and 4 in the midst of that shade. It's going to cause a little bit of issues here as a lot of people rip to the apron.
With a shorter way around on the front straightaway, a lot of guys will do it all night long. Not much tire wear down there to be found in terms of comparing it to running right on the white paint. Donaldson on the outside is able to rebound, by the way, get back by Sean Rogers, and he's got some help coming to the party. Chris Vinson around his teammate Rogers. Vinson, this would be as high as he's been in 4th as Bowie goes to Kyle Larson territory up top side on the safer barrier. Donaldson throws it on the nose to Vinson. Look at this on board as Donaldson threw the nose right, or through the tail end right on Vinson's nose. Vinson not happy about that, gets in on the right rear. Brandon Bowie lurking, Rogers lurking, Alex Murray to the picture, so too Matthews and Matt Cox.
There's the zipper out by Vincent as a result. Rogers, see him making adjustments on how he's holding the wheel in all of this. Falling behind. What is the 67 on the racetrack? Bowie on the top though is trying to rip himself back up to the 4th spot. Look at that evenness, though, by the middle of the straightaway. That cut through bounces back immediately as Bowie just cannot find a way to clear Donaldson yet. Might do it here, though.
He is way up in the penthouse. This is as high as we've seen anybody run consistently so far. Car in the wall in the back. Osbornoff's around. Owens is around. The caution's going to come out. It's a multi-car accident halfway down the backstretch. Coffey's involved again in car 54.
He just can't buy a break is what I'm trying to say. My goodness, that's his third incident of the night. Owens treat, many others get collected.
Yeah, this was back at a 3-wide battle as it's Trevor Osbornoff that gets the first contact, and this car is just never in shape off the corner. He swings it out wide trying to make the save. Owens gets into him. Coffey caught in the secondary. The rest of the field behind them lucky that everybody was able to scramble and somehow miss those 3 cars.
See right there as they stacked up off the corner, Coffey, an innocent bystander with the reflex down the track. And it has been treacherous time for someone. Mind you, Coffey's still top 5 in the points coming into tonight. Wilson, what did he see? A lot of spinning to his right.
Again, lucky to miss that one were the guys behind it. Unlike the first incident, felt like everybody was able to get their cars slowed down and get off the racetrack before it could get a lot bigger as that lap 3 incident, our first caution flag of the night was. This one collecting a couple of others. Owens, we talked about, burnt the tires off, put himself in a little bit worse track position, and that can be the result sometimes. And for Coffey, you said it, he can't buy a break 50 laps in. He's been in 3 of them already.
So with that in mind here with the caution period, good opportunity to talk about our off-axis paint driver profile of the night. That goes the way of one Kenny Reel from Evansville, Indiana. One of the drivers who usually runs as part of the money circuit for the super speedways. Yet to get win in the MRL, making his debut essentially this season. 32-year-old likes Christopher Bell. But he also has a cat named Puppy Dog, interestingly enough. So he's got a couple pets that have interesting names, to say the very least. Puppy Dog is amongst them. And when it comes to Puppy Dog, as you can see, looks very opposite to what you would expect Puppy Dog to look like as a cat.
Yeah, obviously an interesting play on words there, but Kenny Reel, a guy that I've gotten to watch for a couple of years now, develop into a great driver on the super speedway scene, a winner in multiple promotions, but now really digging into this, these promotions outside of the super speedway scene. A guy making his debut this year in the Moonshiners Racing League, a guy branching out to other ovals, and you've seen the speed slowly start to come into that 99, really that whole red line group, which, by the way, is a lot of super speedway racers in their own right. But for Kenny Reel, a guy who's already good on that side of things, he'll be very good next week, by the way, when we head to Talladega. But at tracks like tonight, you've seen the speed come in, and so far so good for him, 14th early on in this one.
Indeed, and it's been an interesting night as a result. Should have decent speed by the end of the evening when it comes to Kenny Reel. But as we get ready for the restart for the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone, get our stage going up to lap 90 for your distance here. And Garcia continues to lead every lap. Davis, Vincent, Bowie, Rogers, along with Donaldson in the top 6 slots. And mind you, with that in mind here, somebody's got to have to find a way to get ahead quickly.
Yeah, it's been Garcia so far in the 8, and it's been because of the race starts that he's got. He's built a 5-car length advantage by the time he even rockets into turn 1. He's not faced any challenge on the restarts yet. Now you're curious, Davis, this is now his 3rd start alongside Garcia. Has he timed it any better? Or have some of the guys behind them started to time a little better? Can they give him a little friendly encouragement, shall we say, as the field works into the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone? Garcia will fire first. Fires off early in the box. This time Davis a little bit better jump. Vincent a good jump, by the way, from 3rd. This time the field got a little bit closer. Garcia will have to change it up as Vincent may take a look for the lead in turn 1.
Yes, indeed. Vincent thinking about an opportunity here. Got a good run off the jump. Scrapes the wall, though, for good measure. All while Murray tries to find his way, the first one side by side to the bottom of the racetrack. Cox also following suit. Has a friend in front of Rogers. You see him slide off the corner, nothing doing yet.
Bowie in the high red district again right there. He's really trying to rubber in that outside lane to get it to work. Now he'll transition back to the bottom. Davis runs the middle. Rogers runs the middle. A couple of other cars up in the middle. Aaron Matthews emerges into the ninth spot. Vincent to the right rear quarter panel. Battle for the lead. Vincent to the outside of Nico Garcia. The first time tonight a driver's been able to get alongside the 8. Can Vincent hold it? He's running that second line. Trying to get the side force, although not as tight as I thought he would run. They drag race. They both cut the apron. Vincent cuts down to try to get a side trap. He's alongside him in one. Can he complete the pass?
That's the huge question. He's got the chance. Vincent didn't have the grip, though. Had to lift as he slid the rear tires across the seams. And it's Garcia now in front, up by 2/10 as a result of that sequence. Donaldson, in turn, looks to reset at the bottom of the track in the top 3 as the rest of the field, for the most part, single file unless you go to the teens. First big challenge of the night for Garcia coming from Vincent. Vincent does not seem to have the same grip as you see the heart of the field, though. Some of the others are going to just try and figure their lines out, like Carmichael.
Yeah, guys trying to figure out lines. Paul Gallimore back in the picture, by the way, up for the 12th spot for him. He started third, got involved in that early incident, went all the way to the tail end of the field, has worked back inside of the top 15 all of a sudden as he tries to make the pass on Carmichael. You're on board with Sean Rogers. He chases Brandon Bowie as they chase Chris Davis, who just had a moment off of 4 a moment ago. Rogers starting to work up the racetrack now, so more guys starting to experiment. Vincent is one of them up front. He got the wall again just now off of 2.
Narrow scrape, narrow bit of contact for some, but nothing in terms of significant hits. A lot of people, for the most part, just giving a little scrape to the fender, but it's not enough to cut it with this car. At least on the sim, I mean. Nigel Christensen, meanwhile, needs a good nut run tonight because obviously we talked about him with the EOL. He's out of the cut line with last time out as he's only in 19th in the points. Got 2 top 5s on the season, but at Bristol, he finished 28th with 26 incident points.
Yeah, I talked about him earlier alongside a guy like Johnny Shade, 2 playoff drivers from a year ago that just have not had the start to 2026 that they wanted to after having successful 2025 runs. So for both of them, they need good runs. Both of them so far. Shade back to 18th. Christensen, though, slowly starting to gain some ground. He's up to 14th. Meanwhile, Chris Vincent has caught Nico Garcia again. As we look on board with Catalano, Vincent put the pressure on Garcia one more time. Catalano continues his comeback train, or at least the attempt at it. He's back inside the top 20. He is in an absolute mess back here from about 10th on back. There is no clean air to go around really anywhere you want to run.
Yeah. So top it off, Sauce machine trying to get itself ahead, already involved in 1 incident tonight. A little bit of a different paint scheme. Trying to see if that works in the 20th spot. A little bit loose there. But everyone else starting to get into a rhythm at the very least here. Set up things for the long run. Only Bowie willing to test different lines. The Aero machine showing the difficulty of the top. You see, right behind this fender shot, Rogers is actually getting Bowie to push him here. I think Bowie's also picked up too. The top's not going to work here if he wants to try and withstand long run.
It's working, but in short batches. It works mostly defensively, but when you try to use it offensively over and over and over again, it just does not work, and it puts a number on the Goodyear Eagles in both temperature and in terms of wear. So he's transitioned back down the bottom side of the racetrack, at least for the time being, until later on in the run when he can go back up there and find some more speed. On board with Hunter Carmichael, he continues to hold pretty steady right around the 13th spot. He's lost a few positions, actually, as this second stage has gone on. Gallimore, we talked about, up to 12th. Kenny Reel has worked back up to the 11th spot so far, +3 for him in stage 2 of the 99. Our driver in focus a moment ago as he looks to the inside of Aaron Matthews. All of a sudden, this red line Camry's got some speed underneath it.
Yeah, you see that right now, getting the run to the inside of the all-about sheet metal 5 machine. Reel just trying to find a way to get himself higher than this point. He's been running about 10th to 15th since his early charge up to the field. Has been able to get further along since. Paul Gallimore, meanwhile, Originally seen in the grid, it looked like a white car. It's actually chrome when you look at it. Just the funny thing when it comes to rendering, I guess it's in theory, the initial shots for the grid would be in an all-white space. It kind of works. I kind of like the black look and the yellow look still more so. Gallimore just trying to get a different look as we see drivers bounce around up front.
Gallimore hoping the different look will change his luck so far in 2026. It's not been the start to the season that he's wanted either, at least to this point, save for a few moments. I'll tell you what, we got some guys on the move, and who better than Alex Murray, the winner from both Las Vegas and Darlington, although he'll get crossed up here by Chris Davis off turn 4. Murray got as high as 4th. We'll lose that spot here to Chris Davis for the moment. Trying to hang on to the right rear, but looming behind them, Matt Cox up to 6th in the 32. The BMP cars look very good as the run goes on. Vincent, Cox, and Rogers all inside the top 10 so far for that team. Cox waiting to see who wins this battle. It will be Murray for the time being.
And he used the second line to defend. You see Chris Davis try to follow, and it bucked and weaved instead. Bill Murray busy with the karting schedule as well when it comes to Prodigy in real life. Also busy with precision, as we know, on the sim racing side. The world always seems to revolve around sim race for him. Same we said for drivers like Bowie, where a lot of focus goes to whenever anything has a steering wheel, let's go. Bowie, by the way, in all of this, notice, has been dealing with damage, which will explain partly why he's been having an issue trying to make some ground up. He hasn't fixed that front nose for a long while. That was off the restart on lap 57 when he rear-ended on traffic.
That would explain why the front-end arrow isn't quite as good on that 51 machine, why he's not able to rotate the corner potentially as much as he was earlier on in Stage 2 and in Stage 1, being the only guy really to run up on the fence consistently. That would explain a lot about why that line's not working quite as much as he runs just in front of Mark Sanchez, but Bowie going the wrong way. Rogers got around him, Cox got around him, other cars, Murray got around him. He's going the wrong direction, guy going the right direction. We talked about him a moment ago, is Christensen, and you could see, I'll tell you, you weren't kidding, JP, that chrome, it's a lot to look at there off the nose of the 20.
Yeah, definitely stands out. Usually you'd see something like that at nighttime, but getting a little bit feisty with Real. Can't tell if Real thought about a move or just moved down a touch to get away from the wall. BMP entry at least. Try and take away 11th with the run built up by Carmichael on both of them. Will Carmichael take him 3 wide? He'll try it. Problem is, run didn't happen and he got cut off with Real.
And that was a business decision, I think, from Hunter Carmichael, knowing that Real was starting to drift back up, trying to take away the air. He knew that if he had thrown that into turn 1, it probably would not have ended well for anyone in that situation. Carmichael, thinking big picture, decides to lift, goes to the fence in turn 3, allows Real to try to the bottom. He's going to get that big drive off again. He'll get right back to him. Now does he consider 3 wide? Again, he will. Thinks about throwing it to the top. This time it's Gallimore slamming the door in his face. Again, Carmichael says, man, what do I have to do to get these couple of spots?
Especially with 16 to go at the stage. This is getting a bit surreal for Real. That is unreal. A slide for the 99. He is able to hold on to it. Got loose, trying to fight there. But Real will be pushed as a result right exactly where he started in this one. Murray, meanwhile, looking to try and fight for top 3 spots with the Dick Machine.
No surprise, winner from Las Vegas. The last cookie-cutter D-shaped oval that we went to, Murray was able to capture his first victory in Moonshiners Racing League competition. No surprises to me that his car is dialed in once again. One car off, a little further behind them. I think it was Mark Sanchez in the 29, and it was. He drops a number of spots back to the 19th spot. As you see how much momentum means off turn 2. I think he got the wall and got loose. May have been some contact as well for him.
Indeed, let's take a look at the top of Alfonso's company replay on that note, by the way. This is something we've seen by about this point. Drivers having issues like that. I almost wonder if he hit the bumps in 1 and 2 that are up towards the top.
Very well could have, and that's something else that you just have to negotiate with. The car already does not want to rotate on exit, or it wants to over-rotate rather, get a little bit loose. When you hit that bump, That tunnel over in turns 1 and 2, it really upsets the balance of the race car and can send you around, and it does for Sanchez right there. Look at the variation in lines here. Murray on the fence in the high rent district. Donaldson in the center. Davis continuing to wrap the bottom on the white paint. It worked best for Alex Murray, who is running down Chris Vinson. Murray, the sportiest of the field so far, late in stage 2. They're all still chasing Garcia. This is the battle for 4th as you're on board. Now with Murray, he sees the leaders getting bigger in his windshield as he looks for win number 3.
Now Alonso's in the top 3, looking to charge for 2nd quickly. Vincent drifting back, Donaldson drifting back also on the long run as Davis takes away the spot. I always wonder what the mindset is when you have a race like today, when you're trying to make a debut here, trying to make a good first impression. In terms of Donaldson, has decent reputation in the sim. In terms of that, though, you're talking about in a lot of cases people you've not raced before. Even the boss man, you could argue, trying to get the camaraderie built up to someone like Barry Sanders, as you see the hornet's nest that Sanders is dealing with.
And again, this just goes with pack racing in this Gen 7 car. Dirty air creates these hornet's nest situations. Sanders working into one of those right around Kenny Real, who we talked about earlier. A couple of guys we haven't really mentioned a lot, including Brandon Fetterplace, is back here as well. He's steadily picked up a few spots here or there. He's down 12 from where he started, trying to recover from some earlier misfortune. He goes after Timothy Harper, another guy we haven't talked about in a little while. That would be for the 16th position. For Donaldson, talking about the camaraderie, I think it's also you want to gain the respect, and that can mean that in more than one way. And, you know, in terms of I'm not going to go out there and wreck a bunch of race cars and cause a bunch of nights to come to an end. You obviously want that respect, but you want to show the field that you're worthy of being considered a competitor. And what I mean by that is you want to go out and show speed, and Braden Donaldson's certainly done that. He runs 5th right now. Alex Murray right on the back bumper of Vinson. He likely will have the 2nd spot here the next few laps. 10 to go, stage 2.
Oh, we just had a connection flag all of a sudden. Issues for Darren Mills have popped up on the sim when his pin went over 1,000, and he has been parked by the sim. Darren Mills is off track. Alex Coffey on the recovery of note on the racetrack, but the first time this season, at least a while, we've had a connection flag park someone.
And a tough night gets tougher. Mills was already towards the tail end of the field and now gets that connection flag as well. Just unfortunate circumstances for him. Still a ways to go, though, still short of halfway. So we'll see if he can get that recovered. Big save there. Hunter Carmichael was pointed at the campers on the infield and somehow kept that 3-car straight. I have no idea how he continues to run not only straight on the racetrack, but just outside the top 10.
You see just how things are sparking up right now with drivers really trying to find the points. You just see, though, Murray also finding the outside groove. Got the pass done. Pass by Vincent. Might open up the door for Davis to attack next as a result. So Murray, he's a little bit quicker on this long run of the 22 all of a sudden. The Shamrock Auto Care machine looking to charge ahead pretty quickly. New purple lap, Chris Vincent has it, by the way, over the course of this one. That has gone down by 1/10 over the course of the race.
Yeah, Chris Vincent found some speed early in stage 2. Now it's going away a little bit here at the tail end of this stage as the long run speed is left to be desired, I think, for that 33, the black and yellow Chevrolet. Still running a very respectable 3rd. Just got passed by Murray, Davis, Donaldson, Cox, the next 3 that would be in line. Back to Kenny Real. This continues to be an absolute mess. Again, from about 10th all the way through the tail end of the top 20. Real just trying to find clean air, trying to find a break from the racing he's had to endure. Remember, a few moments ago was trying to save that race car, thrown right back into the fire pretty much as Nick King is around him. There's the Carmichael machine. Better places in this, a couple of others as well, including Wayne Wilson.
See that in terms of the chugga choo choo here. 5 laps to go in the stage coming up with Garcia leading every single lap still. Every time around so far, the 8 has controlled this race. Every time has maintained a gap of half a second to 1 second. Checking it back in on the 54, the defending series champion. Right now, seems like it's going to be a bit of a difficult task here for Coffee to pass by two of these cars. Might get one because Gallimore's slow off the corner here.
But again, I think even for Alex Coffey, I think big picture as he works down the white paint here in turns 3 and 4, right in the tire tracks of Paul Gallimore Matthews working the fence line on the top side of that 2-wide battle. Coffey going to win out against Gallimore potentially here into turn 1. I think you got to think big picture for Alex Coffey, though, and that is I'm still top 5 in series points coming into this race. Even with all the misfortune of the past 6 weeks, still finds himself very much in the regular season title contention picture as well, nearing the midpoint of this regular season. So I think to not get a stage point here tonight in stage 2, but to know he's going to have an opportunity to finish inside the top 10, if not better, I think is a big deal for Coffey, considering that he was in 3 incidents in 50 laps. On board with Bowie, looking backwards. This is not what I'd want to see approaching me in my rearview mirror late in a stage at Kansas.
Definitely not when you're trying to hold on to the 10th spot. And Matthews, it's not an easy situation late. But with under 2 to go coming up, might be in a position to at least do something there. Fenner Place, by the way, extremely quiet night for one of the top drivers, the points. He's looking to get a little bit loud with a move on Wilson. That time nearly stuck, but it wasn't able to clear. 2 to go, pit road closed.
Yeah, Feder Place, the highest guy in the point standings without a victory, and all of a sudden we may have a battle for the stage win on our hands. Alex Murray's run some of his best laps of the run the last couple. He'll dive to the inside. This is for the lead in turn 3. Garcia allows him to have that line. A little bit surprised he did not try to, quote, arrow block the 22 there into turn 3. He decides not to. Stage white flag in the air, and Alex Murray all over the back bumper, the dominant car of the day.
Can Murray rip away stage 2 from Garcia? Tries the high side, sees if he can build up some momentum here. So far, Garcia's been outright dominant on pace. Both of these early runs have it his. A little bit of a scrape you see in the background. Sees Donaldson on defense. But it's Garcia who continues his flag-to-flag domination. The 8 wins stage 2. The 22 of Murray in second. Vincent, Donaldson, Davis, Rogers, Cox, Christensen, Coffey. Feder Place at the line did take away 10th.
Big result for a couple of drivers there. We talked about the dominance of Garcia, the recovery of Murray, the recovery of Coffey. Biggest points there, Nigel Christensen, a confidence boost, a shot in the arm for the 20 team here in stage 2.
Small correction, believe the scoring loop at the line did by about a couple hundreds. All the way to the 11, Feder Place pass happened about a couple feet after the start and finish line, the 10th spot on the stage. So as we are prepared here for the pit stops for stage 3, feel quite simply, we'll now have to plan outright for a green flag stops to deal with in stage 3.
I think you've got the temperature of the race now. You wondered early after a lap 3 caution, would this race devolve into short runs broken up by incidents and turn into a race of attrition, or would this race get into a long green flag run and it's gone towards the latter, where now you have to think about what is my car going to be like in 80 laps from right now. If we get into a really extended green flag run, you've got to now gear your car towards that on pit road.
You can find the adjustments, but you have to be able to execute with them absolutely in the course of a race like this. But that scene here, we'll see pit stops coming up. Zach, I believe you're standing by as drivers hit pit road.
Boy, I almost didn't make it to the end of stage 2 there. I was going to find a hot dog down on pit road. Couldn't find one yet, so I'll update you here in stage 3. But in terms of the pit stops and the adjustments, a couple drivers looking to tighten the car up in terms of their exit. We saw a couple guys get loose and shoot down into that runoff space down on the backstretch. So we'll see some adjustments to tighten the car up. But really, it's how can your car handle the long run here in terms of stage 3. We know you're going to have to pit most likely for a green flag pit stop. So we'll see what they do. A lot of cars, though, take 4 tires and fuel, minor adjustments, and they're going to be on their way.
Here we go, race off pit road. Garcia's got to hit the gas, and looks like he does to win the race off pit road. Murray comes in way second. Donaldson and Vincent, Davis and Rogers, Cox, Christensen, Coffey, along with Gallimore. What's your top 10 on the race off pit road. The MAT Liveries 300 will continue right after this. You're watching Precision Entertainment. Welcome back to Precision Entertainment for tonight's coverage of the MAT Liveries 300, our GMD Janitorial Cup Series. Justin Prince Johnson Wise up in the broadcast booth as we get set for the restart here to the Van Louis Stickers Restart Zone. So far tonight, it's been a good drive for Garcia. That's the understatement, I think you could say. Every lap he's led tonight. As you see some of the others try to figure out what can they do to pass that red and white 8.
But a couple of worthy competitors now. Alex Murray started to run up towards the outside of the end of stage 2, and it found some success. Will it continue to do so? Just over half of this one left to go. Green flag back in the air. Garcia spins the tires. First mistake of the night for the 8 comes at the beginning of stage 3. Murray down to side draft, side by side for the lead. Does Davis think about 3 wide into 1? No, he'll push on the back of the 8, trying to get him clear for the lead. Murray around the outside, trying to hold the right rear off turn 2. Drag race for the lead down the backstretch. Murray noses ahead as they crash into the back. Johnny Shade's around.
New leader, it's Alex Murray. Johnny Shade at the wall for the yellow flag. Caught up with Corey Moore. 2 dig entries. Bring us back under caution. Right at the perfect time for the 22 to take the lead.
Yeah, Alex Murray took the lead right at the scoring loop right as this occurred. I saw this out of the corner of my eyes get started off turn 2 right as they started to drag race down the backstretch. Shade loose into the right rear of Sanchez. Moore nowhere to go. Guy scrambled to the apron. Lucky that one was not bigger than it was.
Absolutely there. Could have been much worse. Corey Moore followed a couple incidents tonight. He was just trying to let it rip on the top, and then boom. There's not much you can say in that situation. They're in the 2 different dig channels. But obviously the post race is going to have some big discussions between the 2 of them later on. Under the yellow, we get ourselves in position and ready to go here for some interview discussions as pit road remains open, but no one else is coming on down. Kenny Reel mentioned had the driver profile here. Kenny, as we drive past pit road here and you stay on the racetrack, how are you feeling about the race car tonight?
The car feels a lot better than the first run. First run was really tight, loosened it up a little bit, and that second run it felt really good. Just made a few mistakes, so if I minimize those, it should be fine.
On that note, as we get ourselves in situation, how have you felt about racing in this type of series so far with the Redline Camp and the Precision setup? I believe you guys have a couple different setups of representation we've seen this season.
Yeah, I like it. There's a good group of guys in here, especially, the Precision guys, and that's how I found out about it. And also, last season with Dawson broadcasting, I watched his broadcast a lot, so that got me interested. And yeah, so far it's been fun. I'm known for super speedways, but I like the oval racing too. And I'm sure you guys know I'm probably pretty happy for next week's race because probably one of my favorite tracks coming up.
Absolutely, especially with tracks like Dega on the schedule I think you're referring to. But here you're also good in Call of Duty, to say the very least. Talk to us about how good you are at COD.
Yeah, back in the day, I went pro a little bit, played it. I was playing that game probably 10 years plus until up till 4 years ago when I seen the racing thing. It was probably during COVID, and decided to do something different because playing Call of Duty all the time gets boring and stressful. So I decided to come over here and haven't looked back since.
By the way, what's that poster in the background?
It's from a win from a money race, and they end up giving me that for first place in the first race they did for the promotion. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you see the full picture on your screen. That's the Midnight Racing League. I believe a certain somebody in our booth calls that also on us in terms of that. But once you get back to the race car, because we're about to restart, good luck.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Kenny Real. Interesting character, I think you could say, Dawson, as we come up to the Van Louis Stickles restart zone. And we want those on the bottom line. But Murray chose the top here with that scoring loop. Let's find out how this goes.
So far, the leader, the control car, has been the best at getting away under the green flag restart. Here we go, green flag, Murray off and running. Garcia for the first time was not the control car, and he is going to be in a battle with Donaldson for second as they work up towards turn one. Murray continues to run up top. He'll fade to the bottom. They'll go to the white paint. Everybody else second lane except for Cox, who pokes a headlight out above the Donaldson machine. Garcia, excellent turn through the center of the corner. That car is dialed in on the bottom side of the racetrack. He'll go to second, poke a headlight out, now poke the whole car out on Murray. He looks back for the lead. Donaldson and Davis battle for third, but it's Garcia with a monster run off turn four, and he powers back to the lead at the line as we hit just short of halfway.
Garcia yet again takes the lead with the short run. Now looks to run away as quick as possible. Donaldson wants those up on the top line. Now, here's the tough part. Now that you've seen Garcia face through the air for the first time here tonight, now it's going to be the interesting. Can Murray respond back long run? Because it just seems Garcia's got that spark for 30, 35 laps.
That car is so good for the early portions of the run, and really later in the run, it's not tapering off too terribly much. We saw Alex Murray gain a lot of ground at the end of stage 2. I'm curious to see how much he gains here in stage 3, how close he can stay to the aid of Nico Garcia. But man, the Garcia car is so good on the short run, can build a gap, and now Murray's under fire. Davis to the inside for second. Big power move to the inside, drives all the way to the white paint. Murray in the middle, can't get the job done to maintain that spot. Davis to second. Murray crosses over, tries to make the pass behind them. Donaldson against Cox, that's for fourth, as Vincent watches on the popcorn seat, and the blue and yellow Dig eSports Camry of Alex Coffey re-enters the picture as well.
A recovery from him already back to about where he was before chaos reigned at the start of the race. It's taken already more than 100 laps to recover. Past halfway already a few moments ago. As you can tell, drivers like Rogers continue to fight. Single file up at the front of the field for the time being. But you can tell one thing's for sure. Vincent, Alonso's going to have to figure out the second line. You see that poke there? And Vincent, again, that nose just carries off the center. Still able to rotate as Rogers whipped away the outside from the 67.
Yeah, that's your welcome to Wednesday night's moment for Braden Donaldson. There's Rogers got to his outside off the corner and grabs the right rear side force off that orange 67 machine. So Rogers tries to get sixth away from him. Coffey is in this battle now. He's obviously going to go down and push the 67 to turn one, choosing not to follow the Rogers machine on the inside. Gallimore right behind them as well. He's up to ninth. Closest he's been to his starting spot. Donaldson throws dirty air across the Rogers car, which lets Coffey potentially go 2 for 1. Coffey's up to sixth and on the move in that 54 machine. He may have something for the leaders, but guess who does have something for the leader? Chris Davis, who made the pass in turn 3.
He got the outside run down the back straightaway, then got the pass done by 3. He just zipped by, quite simply. Garcia wasn't able to cover off Davis, who used the outer groove to take clean air, and for the first time tonight, it's Davis up in front of the field. Remember, he almost got the lead off the initial start when it was a dead even beginning of the race when it was off Barney for the green.
Well, this is the fastest this car has looked since that point, too. Felt like he tapered off a little bit in the long runs, but now he has dialed that car back in stage 3, and he goes to the lead. It's a bit of a hornet's nest behind them still as the 3rd through 10th place cars try to figure things out. Garcia and the tire tracks of Davis, they run the bottom. Then it's Murray, who now under fire with a BMP entry of Matt Cox. Cox to the inside. This would be for a podium spot as high as he has run tonight, plus 22 as he powers on through to 3rd. Vincent trying to join him. We know what the long run speed is on that car. Coffey's right behind them as well. Well, BMP entries finding some short run speed also as Coffey may work on his Dig eSports teammate.
Yeah, you see Coffey trying to move up and actually diamond it. Look at Garcia do the same. Davis is up the wall. He's going to fall back behind the 8. Garcia up to the race lead with the pass back. And now your boy Nico looks to try and run away in the Elwood Design paint scheme.
I think that angle was so perfect, too, for how well he's able to rotate through the center of the corner. No other car on track is able to rotate the center of the corner like the 8 car is down the bottom side of the racetrack. Cox attacks Davis. That's for 2nd, trying to make 2 for 1. Davis says no, sir. Going to stay alongside him as further back. Coffey got around Murray. Now Coffey to the inside of Vincent. Alex Coffey's on rails in stage 3. 93 to go, and the defending champs up to 4th as they work back to the start-finish line. Next up, Chris Davis as Coffey's run back to the front continues.
Remember, Coffey was the winner in the spring race here at Kansas last year, so it's not a surprise to see him do well once given the opportunity to reset. See how much the track has adapted, by the way, with the clouds above. Temperatures at the moment, 101. It was up to near 110 earlier on when it was nice and sunny. For past 4 p.m. and 7, it's going to get colder from here in turn.
Yeah, the temperature will continue to go down. The clouds will only help that and will allow some handling to come back on the race cars. And as the tracks cool down, the temperature at the front has gone up. Another attacker here on Nico Garcia. Matt Cox to the back bumper. You're on board with Rogers a little further back as he's reeling just a bit back to 11th so far in stage 3 for him. But Cox up front looks for the lead. Coffey looks for 3rd on Davis as Matt Cox got within about a half a car length of Garcia. May have found some dirty air there a couple of times through on the racetrack. Back to a car length. You're on board with King as Cox approaches for the lead. Does he make the move to the inside? He does. Pokes a headlight out. Tries to run the 2nd lane. Garcia says no, sir, and throws aero wash across the front of the Bears Chevrolet Camaro.
And what can you say? Sometimes you have to get the cheese grater out. Cox ready to try and grate away that move for the lead. That diamond line coming off 3 and 4 seems to be working. Same for 1 and 2. Now it's the question. Can Cox get alongside and rip this away? It's about equal in terms of the run. Now the outside being utilized by the 32 again.
He pokes a headlight out, and again, what I mean by that, poke about half the car out one way or the other, and you can typically rotate the center of the corner. It gives him the big drive off. Here's the power move to the inside. Slide job by Matt Cox. He's through to the race lead around Garcia and driving away by just a little. Garcia with a crossover, trying to get back to him. Back to within a car length. Meanwhile, Davis continues to hold off Coffey. That is for 3rd. Here comes Garcia, closing back in. Where does he go? Right into the back bumper of Cox. That air is not going to be polite to the front end of that 8 car of Garcia. Now he turns it off the corner, able to rotate off the center, but may have lost a little bit of front end grip there. Had to lift out of it, and now has to reset as Cox tries to drive away.
Right now, he's running 30.6 as Garcia on the back foot last time, dropped by 2/10 of the pace after the pass. Those two looking to pull away. They've now got 6/10 over the rest of the field, with Davis slipping back long run by a 10th or 2, with Coffey not even within 3/10 last time by the top pace on the racetrack. I think this is the dangerous thing now for the rest of the field. Cox, when you give him clean air, he can unleash himself and run away. In our words, it's the question, can he chase down the Bears car?
A reminder to me almost of that Las Vegas race last year of the playoffs when he got clean air and just drove away and cruised to victory in that race. Looking to do the same in this one. Davis, by the way, is kind of reeled back in these two just a little bit. He's gotten away from Alex Coffey just a tad, so he can now focus forward. Garcia still only 2.5 car lengths back of the race leader. A couple of cars on the move further back. Paul Gallimore is up to 6th in the silver at number 11. Brandon Fetterplace is inside the top 10 up to 9th. King in 10th. Rogers is faded back to 11th, but has stabilized there. Notably, Brandon Bowie dropped to 14th on the last caution. You're on board with Real, but Bowie starting his recovery back through the field after he got his damage fixed.
Yep, some of the drivers at the very least trying to figure out where can they recover in this situation. Bowie, remember with the nose damage, was put on the very back foot. Elected to take the opportunity to fix it now, and at this point, up in the 13th position. He also topped off last time we had a caution flag, so he's got a little bit extra fuel on board, which will definitely help to try and set up for some strategy windows. Christensen, for his sake, Munzel's just trying to wrap the white line. You can see some of the differences in lines popping up yet again as more drivers surge higher and higher up the track with rubber.
And that rubber continues to move up the racetrack. And I think as guys like Carmichael, Murray, Bowie tried to work that line in stage 2, now we're starting to get to the point of the race where that line really will start to get up and go as rubber's laid down up there. Carmichael is one of the ones running up towards the fence now this time. Crosses back to the bottom, and Matthews runs up in that district just in front of him in the 15th spot. So guys continue to work rubber into the racetrack, trying to get another line to work. The longer the run goes, I think the better those lines will start to work. Davis is already seeing some success towards the front, by the way, as he has almost run down Garcia, although he just popped the wall off turn 4 as Murray attacks Gallimore. That would be for the 6th spot. Rather, Gallimore attacked him for 6th.
Just see some of the errors really starting to steady out here. We're coming up to 81 laps to go. Still a lot of time to go here. Of course, this one, Murray of note over the course of this run. I've noticed, though, after charging up, having a chance for the race lead to start the stage, it's kind of gone the wrong way. Gallimore actually passing by on the outside, but Murray, right now, his pace has fallen off by a 10th or 2 compared to the leaders. In fact, 3/10 last time by. His average also a 10th off the leaders as he slides up the track and gets the spot back at least.
I think he's trying to wait on a long run. That's where he's been. That's a block down the back straightaway. Almost threw another one on Gallimore as Gallimore gets back around him. This one getting a little bit feisty. This battle starting to get a little bit rough back here for the 6th spot. It's losing both of these cars some valuable time. Murray crossed back over to the inside. Donaldson into the picture. Fetter placed into the picture. They'll bring Nick King with them, but a couple of cars have crashed. Jim Treat, Mark Sanchez, and the caution's out.
Caution flag is out. Treat, as mentioned, amongst those crawling. That puts us back under the yellow flag yet again. It's not been Treat's night at all for that Bull Island kart brakes machine. Let's take a look at the top of Alfonso's Company replay. That's 6 yet again. Oh my goodness, they were wrecking before they even got to the turn 3 entry.
This happened towards the tail end of the field. Treat right in front of Sanchez, and you wonder how in the world they got to that situation. Does Sanchez make the dive into 3? He did, but man, that's a weird look. Treat loose on entry and into the wall, and big damage on both cars.
I can't tell what happened afterwards, though. It almost looked like I can't tell if he hit the brake. Sanchez said he was going to run the top. Yeah, I think he got him arrow loose. So 2 different fights happened at the same time on the radio, by the way, as again, it's Sanchez's point. If he wants to run the top, run the top. Just got really close to the 6 at that moment.
Yeah, that's a weird look, and one that we haven't seen really all night or all season that I can remember anyways, in terms of somebody getting arrow loose into the corner. You're on board with Metler, who is just behind this, and I mean, yeah, there's really no other explanation. There's not enough contact there to create that kind of situation for Jim Treat inside the race car, at least from what we can see. So, an interesting look in a couple of cars with big-time damage.
So that puts us back under the old flag, and just like that, pit party time. Zach, have you found that hot dog?
Yeah, I was able to find one a couple walks over, so able to find some hot dog, put some ketchup and mustard on it. But in terms of the on-track action, tempers flaring a little bit on the radio, but in short term on pit road, 4 tires and fuel for most drivers, a few minor adjustments, 79 laps to go right now. And I think the biggest question is, where is your car the most comfortable? That's what I would be adjusting to. Does it need to be a little tighter on the top? Does it need to be looser on exit or tighter on exit? What do you really need to work on? Matt Cox, though, getting the win off pit road there in front of the Garcia machine.
So off and away they go. So now, as we go, we'll take a break. You're watching Precision Entertainment for tonight's coverage of the MAT Liveries 300, the Moonshiners Racing League. Once again, here from Kansas. Welcome back, everyone, to Precision Entertainment. Tonight's coverage continues here from Kansas. Justin Prince, Johnson Wise with you here for tonight's coverage. So far, it's gone from dominating day for the 8 to a lot of challengers jumping into the pot. We've had Murray, Davis, and now Cox lead laps in amongst this stage so far. But the tough part is we still have plenty of laps to go, and we still expect drivers have to pit here. We're coming to 76 to go in theory.
In theory, with 76 to go, we do still anticipate the pit strategy is a factor in this race. We're approaching the period where that number would get too small for a green flag pit stop. Cox, Garcia on the front row, valueless stickers restart zone, green flag in the air, Cox off and running. Garcia, though, timed it up a little better that time. He'll have Davis alongside him, Murray and Gallimore right behind them. Cox crosses middle to bottom. Garcia trying to work the second lane. He may be all the way back to third as Davis powers past him for second off 2. Gets a little bit loose, holds onto that race car as further back it's scrambling around Kenny Reel and company.
Just see how much Garcia has to fight just to be able to hold on here, able to withstand some of the pressure for the top 3. But for the first time, he's not amongst your top 2 here this evening. Not going to last for long, though. Once again, Garcia inside, almost got it done immediately.
Just able to rotate turns 1 and 2 so much better than everyone around him. He's able to power back to the second spot in front of Davis. Gallimore, by the way, got all the way to 4th on that restart. The silver, the chrome 11 right there in the 4th spot. Donaldson right behind him, and then it is a complete and total mess. Trouble. Reel gets turned. Kenny reels around and through the grass, and guess who's involved again? Alex Coffey in the 54.
Not again. Coffey, part, I've lost count. The 54, yet again, up in the front in a race, gets involved with contact, and yet again, to the back goes the 54.
And it continues to be things that are not his doing necessarily. Off turn 4 right here. Reel gets a little bit arrow loose off the front of Brandon Bowie in the rear of Alex Murray. And Coffey just happens to be the guy that was running to the left. That blue and white precision branded Camry. Watch again here. Reel getting arrow loose off Bowie, I think, is who's going to really get him out of shape as he washed some air across the back end of Reel. And watch here is Alex Coffey. There's just nothing he can do. Kenny Reel across his nose. And at this point, I mean, this is far from bad luck. This is an incredible run of horrible luck for Alex Coffey. He's in another one. Best part is not much damage on his car.
Absolutely. There's still plenty of laps to go. We're outside the fuel window. There it is there. Reel saying it just snapped on him on the radio to confirm. And at this point, now it becomes the question, do you try and hustle and save some gas here? We did have a couple drivers like Coffey, Reel, Medina, Shade, and a few others come down pit road. Many of those involved in incidents. Still think we're outside the estimated window, though, possibly Dawson by a few laps to realistically get there on the save.
Well, it becomes a question of how many cautions do you think we're going to get over the final 73 laps of this race. If you think we're going to have 3 or 4 more, if not even more than that, why not maybe give it a gamble if you're a guy towards the tail end of the field that wants to try to win on strategy rather than try to race your way up through the field. It's happened before in Kansas races, both on the real life side and the iRacing side, that fuel mileage can determine a race. I've seen it myself over a couple of different series. Why not give it a shot if you're a guy back outside the top 15, top 20 here with 73 to go to at least attempt to stretch it, although you'll need some considerable help. For the guys at the front, you got to hope your adjustments you just made continue to work. Cox, Garcia, Davis, Gallimore, Donaldson, and company are in that camp for sure.
Remember, tonight's replay is brought to you by Top It Off Hot Sauce Company. Top It Off Hot Sauce Company, the official replay sponsor of the MRL. Receive 15% off your entire order at topitoffsauce.com using the code MRL15. Be sure to use that code today to save some money on some hot sauce. And I know the series in particular was trying to promote that and be able to get more attention for the competitors to say, why not support one of your fellow drivers? Dawson. We may have lost Dawson for a moment here as we go for the restart. Let's take a look at the camera viewpoints. Cox, Garcia, Davis, Gallimore. Once the top 4, the Donaldson and Murray, Bowie and Kane, Rogers and Vincent. Coming up to the Van Louis Stickers restart zone. Still outside the fuel markers as we get ready to rumble. His car off, green flag in hand. Green flag is out, back and away.
Another classic blip for me, as it happened last week as well, but Cox off and running, no blip for him in the restart zone as he gets back by Garcia. Davis in the 87 to the inside of Garcia, that's for second. Donaldson may attack Garcia for third, and Garcia continues to lose ground on these restarts. We did not see this vulnerability earlier. Donaldson to the inside would put him as far back as he's run all night long, but look at the drive through the center of the corner. Incredible drive through the middle of 3 and 4 for Garcia. He rides right around both of those cars.
Able to zip by quickly and going for the lead. Shuffles Cox out of the way. Nico Garcia shows your boys up to the front. He blinks with excitement, but Cox will now go his way back up to the lead with that blink.
I have no idea. I have no words for how in the world Garcia not only got around both Donaldson and Davis, but was able to carry the momentum all the way to Cox and clear back to the race lead. Garcia, that's as powerful a run over 3 laps as you will ever see on a Wednesday night. He goes all the way back to the point. Cox has to try to regroup. Donaldson on the attack maybe for second as he got by Davis for the 3rd spot. So now Donaldson trying to get on the move as Garcia says, see you later, and goes right back to the point with 70 to go.
All you do, to say the least, on that charge. Now it's the question, can he sustain it here? Thought of when to pit going to be in the minds of some if it goes long here. Rogers and Bowie, meanwhile, your first side-by-side on the racetrack. See how much Rogers able to work that wheel. Again, the bottom seems to have a really good amount of roll to center at least. Right there, able to slide up in front of Bowie as Bowie crosses him up.
Brandon Bowie continues his recovery. Again, talked about earlier that he was repairing the nose damage on the 51 that he got on the restart way back on lap 57. Damage is repaired. Car seems to be back to where it was pace-wise early in the race when he was the first guy to try to run the outside. Gets crossed up there off turn 4 by Rogers in the 44 once again as those two continue to go to battle. Meanwhile, as Cox tries to regroup, Garcia is driven away by 4/10. You watch back again around Brandon Bowie, who now runs back in the 8th position, right behind the Alex Murray machine. You're on board with Braden Donaldson, who can now attack Cox and then try to somehow replicate what Nico Garcia just did. Had to imagine the mind is running 1,000,000 miles an hour for Donaldson right now as he runs 3rd at how in the world Garcia was able to pull that move off.
Especially with how well we've seen just some of the efforts a bit for the leader in terms of keeping clean air. But all that being said, Murray claws his way back to 7th for the time being. Oh wow, Bowie forced up to the top line here. We're talking about a quiet day for Fenner Place in the office. By the way, he's crawled into this conversation, this little pack you see here. That includes him right behind Vincent. Fenner Place, remember, came in tonight, third in the points. Haven't really mentioned his name more than 3 times.
Well, having a Matt Kenseth in 2003 type season, he's done it without taking a single checkered flag so far this season. Has Fenner Place. Meanwhile, up front for the lead, Garcia to the 3rd lane, up by the 2nd seam. Cox down on the white paint. They'll go side by side off turn 4. Matt Cox to the inside will cut down the apron. Garcia chooses not to go down there and follow him. It allows Cox a little bit of an advantage here in the entry to turn 1. He'll roll that all the way back to the lead. So despite the power move for Garcia, Cox gave it a few laps, said, I'll take that back, thank you very much. And he's now the leader and driving away 5 car lengths to lead back into turn 3. Cox made that look pretty easy as, by the way, the battle now is on for 4th. Donaldson starting to lose a little bit of ground. Davis got around him. Gallimore's around him. Where'd Nick King come from? How about car number 12? You're on board with him now. He's up to 6th.
Yeah, now a good bounce back. Remember, he was amongst those who took that massive slide earlier. Gallimore, though, opens the lane, and there goes Donaldson. Another twitch for one of the dig cars or precision back machines. This time it's Donaldson. He regroups and goes out to the outside wall to let people go.
Oh man, that's the worst feeling as a driver too. He had so much track position, and in a race like this, where dirty air has been such a big factor, to lose that much position, not what the doctor ordered for Donaldson. He goes from 4th to 11th as a result of that slide. By the way, Brandon Bowie, that benefited him pretty nicely. He's up to the 6th spot. King into the top 5. Murray trying to get back to where he was earlier, all while Vincent chases these guys as well. This is, again, continues to be a mess, which has been from about 6th all the way through 19th position or so, really for the majority of this race. And right now, especially as the desperation level goes up, you're on board with Rogers as he chases behind the Shamrock Toyota of Murray.
Yep, you see just how much they're trying to ride here. Rogers just lets Vincent go. Remember, Vincent having the issues getting the car to rotate. We touched upon a part of tonight. Vincent, though, still finding his way to at least have a solid night. My main thought, though, is he just needs to figure out that rotation point for when he's not running the very tippy top. He's the 2nd biggest mover for a reason. That car is fast, but it's going to need that little extra oomph to pass by everyone else to get that race winning pace that we've seen up front.
On a short run, not a big deal. Big slide. Brandon Bowie almost got out of shape there in the 51. He's going to lose similar amount of positions as Donaldson just did a moment ago. Back to Vincent, though, as we may get a look at the replay here for Bowie. But for Vincent, it's good on a short run when you can kind of drive in a little bit deeper. But on the long run, you're right. You got to find the rotation point for the 33. You're on board with Brandon Bowie, and watch his hands inside this cockpit as he almost saw his race flash before his eyes here off turn 2. Look at the hand movements, smooth, steady, but enough to keep that car straight.
A little bobble. See us still under green at that point. Cox up at the front as a result. Garcia now have to go right back on the giddy up quickly. And that's the tough part. Long run's been the talking point all night. At his sake, now he doesn't have the clean air. Vincent, by the way, is battling with Murray. But right now, the tough thing now is, as the tires are now past 20 laps or so, these cars are getting a little bit destabilized. We're seeing a lot of people slip and slide a lot more than earlier for whatever reason. The track, by the way, has also stayed pretty hot, too, for its sake.
Stayed pretty close to the triple digits so far in this race. It was up as high as 109. By the way, new fastest lap was Garcia earlier on, 29.669. So that pace has continued to come up as the race has gone on another 10th and a half. You see a tick back towards the hot side in terms of the track temp, but it's been pretty steady right around that 100, 101 number for a majority of the laps in this race. Cox, Garcia, Davis, top 3. Gallimore settles into 4th. Nick King into 5th. Cannot say enough about his run so far. 13th to 5th. Murray is the man on the move. He's trying to get that top line worked in. And as you're on board with Fetter Place here, we've reached the point in the race. Donaldson works up there. Murray's working up there, where that outside lane is really starting to rubber in and become beneficial.
And again, the problem is you can't stay up the whole time, but you definitely can use it for small bursts. Rio, by the way, after his slide, having a hard time being able to close up some gaps here. Still in 16th. Hasn't been able to really get any of the track position back out. He gained so early on that kept them on the top half of the field early.
Dirty Air is king typically at these 1.5-mile racetracks, and when you're stuck behind some of the bestest that he's had in front of him over the course of this run, unfortunately it's hard to get those spots back. You really got to fight for it. Here's another fight for position. Underneath King goes Murray. He made that look pretty easy. Murray up into the top 5 once again. Highest he's been since earlier when he tried to get the lead on the race start earlier in stage 2. So for Murray, the comeback trail continues, and he's mostly used the bottom, although he has worked the penthouse once again a couple of times, trying to get that line rubbered in. Vincent, by the way, nice little recovery for him as he found a little bit of long run rotation underneath that car.
Just seeing how much Vincent is trying to work forward here. Now it's the matter, though, of when do you come down pit road? He alluded to that conversation off the restart. Now it's realistic to start thinking about it. 25 laps into the run. Already in the green light on fuel. A few laps ago here, Dawson. When do you come down? Do you push it to 40 to go, 30 to go? When would you come down? Or you go for a slide, nearly taking the conversation to mute. Timothy Harper nearly brought us to a caution, but the slide holds onto it.
Somehow, some way, keeps us under the green flag. Now, in terms of the conversation, as Vincent goes by King for 6th position, King starting to backslide just a little bit in that Warrior Ford Mustang Dark Horse. But back to the pit road conversation, it depends on the situation you're in. I think if you're Matt Cox, you may just run this a little bit long. But what I have seen this week and over the past several months of this Gen 7 race car, the undercut when in these kinds of tire races on 1.5 tends to be king. The earlier you come to pit road, the earlier you put fresh Goodyears on, the faster you're going to run off pit road, the more time you're going to gain, the more time you could undercut, say, the leader. If you're Nico Garcia here, we know how good his car is on a short run. Does he potentially come a little bit early and try to build a gap on pit road, rather on the exit of pit road, with that short run speed that maybe Cox can't overcome?
Indeed. It's going to be an interesting dynamic over the course of when we see those stops that could really decide who comes away with the top spot here tonight. Bowie, by the way, still rides 11th. You see he's on board here, not able to get something on Fetter Place this say. Keep in mind, right now for those curious, the speeds fall off 1.1 seconds if you're at the top of the field. Only drivers that are staying in the 30.8s or 9s are in your top 4. Everybody else has burned an extra 0.2 off their Goodyear Eagles. Blaine Wilson, quiet day tonight in the office. Right now, running 12 last scoring loop. That's because he passed Nigel Christensen. In fact, Christensen lets him go and finish the job. He lifted at the line.
Yeah, Wilson continues to make that car better and better as the night goes on. I think you're seeing a number of drivers start to do that. Garcia got the wall right there, a pretty good angle of where he just slapped the outside safer barrier off turn 2 as Davis starts to run him down for the 2nd position. So for Garcia, you're starting to see the long run grip go away, as has been the story on this 8 car tonight, although did not taper off as much when he had clean air, but when you're in dirty air, you really feel the long run effects underneath that race car. You're on board with Brandon Fetterplace, who works into the top 10. You talked about how quiet that night was, but again, it's almost a microcosm of his season. Not taking any checkered flags, been pretty quiet, but been quietly consistent. And in a chase format, that's the key. He's up to 10th and chasing Donaldson and King for a couple more spots.
And give credit to the resiliency of King in these races. It's not been an easy season. It's not been an easy past couple seasons for one of the independents left in this series. But he's been chugging along here. Rogers building a buffer on that. But it's tough when you don't have someone to work with, per se, in the series, like the big teams like Arrow or Dig or BMP. This sake, King's been basically on an island all season in open team 2.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in as a driver when you don't have that coordination between a couple of teams, guys that can practice. You know, maybe one guy finds something that you didn't see as a driver where you get into a long run, maybe there's something about the race car you just didn't notice that another guy can point out. Unfortunately, some guys don't have that luxury. Nick King is one of them, but again, you pointed out the resiliency. He's still trying to maintain a top 10 running spot, a really impressive run tonight. I think one that he desperately needed as Murray is on by Gallimore. That's for 4th.
Able to slip by yet again. Murray showing a little bit of resiliency as the temperatures swing back. Garcia holding back Davis by the way. And right now, just seeing the differences right now. Cox flexing the long run muscles has built the gap. There it is by a beat of 1 second on the track. It's just under a second on the mark, 8/10 right now. So at this point, you can just tell Garcia just does not have the long run needed. He needed the clean air so much that loose moment has completely put him into a bad box here, especially with every passing lap, he loses half a tenth.
Well, even more reason to me why you would want to be one of the first on pit road if you're the driver of the 8. You know what you have on a short run, and it's the best car in the field. And I'm not sure it's particularly close, but you would have to come to the next, I would say, 10 laps to make that really worth it for Garcia, knowing that this cycle is getting ready to start, I would say, in the next 20 laps or so. I'd want to be one of the first on pit road as he gets passed up by Davis. Now, you're getting into desperation territory for Garcia, where other guys, Cox, Davis, Murray, Gallimore, Vincent, guys that have flexed a little bit of long-run car in this race. Vincent gets the ball, by the way, just behind these guys. But those guys can run a little bit longer. Garcia, I almost would think about pitting here the next 10 laps.
Absolutely. We're just about at the point where you can basically split it up near equally with 42 to go. So remember, we started this run back up at 71 laps to go last time. The stint lanes down the tower, everybody's going to have near identical stints. The only exceptions are Barry Sanders, Kenny Reel, Carr, and a few of the others at the back of the field. Obviously, the opportunity has not been able to save up, or both 6 laps precisely for the full split. But in that sequence here, as well, that's an interesting time taking a swing down the straightaway. Make sure you don't get loose there, as just make sure no one gets alongside you.
Well, we add another piece to this lore for Sean Rogers. We talked about the light behind the setup, the green light. Now it's taking a swing down the straightaway. He actually got the wall there off turn 2. He's going to get challenged for a couple of spots here. Fetter Place continues to be on the move, by the way. Bowie trying to get a spot out of this as well. So Fetter Place continues to work his way up, as he has all season, into a spot where he can maintain his points position. Rogers, an interesting time, you said it, to take a drink there under green flag conditions, but you got to fit it in somewhere. By the way, Alex Murray, as we were watching Sean Rogers, made the pass on Nico Garcia. Long run speed continues for that Dig eSports entry. He's up to 3rd.
Continuing his progression as we talked about Garcia's runs going back. Look who's closing quickly though. Chris Davis, last time by, closed up a 10th. He's closed up a fair bit all of a sudden because his average is kicked up by a 10th or 2. Look at this, even with the dirty air, he's able to get the car to just get a little bit better on exit to chip away. It's going to get harder from here though.
Well, he's peeking that left side headlight out and poking that nose into a little bit of clean air. You don't need a ton, just about, again, about a headlight left or right gives you enough to rotate that car either on the inside of the racetrack or the outside of the racetrack, and it's working right now. Chris Davis is on rails. He's gained 3 or 4 tenths over the last 8 laps or so on the racetrack. He's working both lanes, actually. There really hasn't been one rhyme or reason to it for Davis. Sometimes he'll do like he does now, poke the left headlight out, jump to the bottom, go all the way to the paint. Sometimes he'll poke the right headlight out when Cox wants to run a little lower, and he'll run towards the top side of where these guys have been running on this run. So no real rhyme or reason to it. Whatever it is, it's working. Now he faces some of that aero wash. He'll lose a little bit of ground. Alex Murray is not out of this either, by the way, as he starts to really close up the back bumper of Davis. Murray may be in this picture very soon as well.
all of this coming into play with pit stops on the minds of some with less than 38 laps to go. Not really any calls have come through, but we did see a pit stop just now for Blaine Wilson, who had fallen behind a decent bit from some of the others. Donaldson just said pitting. Murray is pitting. Window is open. Here we go.
They get it down to pit speed. Don't want to make a mistake on a green flag pit stop, something we haven't seen a ton of so far in 2026. Murray seemed to get down to speed. Donaldson and Harper look pretty good on their entries as well. Game on the cycle. Murray went with the undercut, so did Donaldson. We'll see how it pays off. Davis and Cox. Garcia now have to answer the call.
Garcia's already indicated this time by. Cox doesn't come in to respond yet. Couple lap overcut so far for the top two. They try and figure out a way to work together. A lot of errors like King took a conservative entry, but there's Garcia amongst those in, trying to find a way to get that life back in the car as we close in for the final laps. Davis in his sake, he's going to see the 32 coming this time. Oh, this could be interesting if Davis tries to do an opportunity for the outside. Instead, he'll just take the lap ahead, and Cox comes in.
Gallimore right on his tail as well, so a pair of teammates there coming to pit road. So now the leader cedes that position. We'll leave just a few cars left on the racetrack that have not yet come to pit road. We're on board now with Murray. He just has to unlap himself, so this is not the pass for the lead right here. He'll have to unlap himself, go around again, and come back to pass Matt Cox if he wants to lead. Lovely Cox going up on the jack for 4 good years. I wondered also if anybody would go for 2. It does not appear that many of the leaders have gone that direction. Cox off and running. Vinson coming this time. Only a few left to pit, as here's the battle for the lead off turn 4.
Here we go, as they go. Just see how much Davis trying to stretch. Murray, for his sake, coming along that front straightaway. He falls behind. Kenny Real wants those on a clutch and coast. Gets zipped on by Cox behind Murray on the track. Just like that, net lead, Alex Murray, but cycle is not done yet. The 22 is going to have to find a way to hold back Cox when he comes up in a couple laps with the fresher tires.
It's not a huge difference between those two cars, but what I was saying earlier about that undercut and it being supreme on these 1.5 miles comes into play again. A couple lap difference has opened up a multiple second lead for Alex Murray to work with here. Davis still continues to lead the way. He is yet to come to pit road. Brandon Bowie has ceded his spot. Brandon Fetterplace is in this time as well. So a couple of more cars coming to pit road this time around. Aaron Matthews going to follow suit. A couple of other cars still coming to pit road that have yet to. Appears that the cars that are left to come to pit road are the following: Davis, Rogers, Sanders, Real, Hauschild, Sanchez, Medina, Shade, and Oswornoth are the cars left to come to pit road. And then Alex Murray has that much of a lead over Matt Cox with 31 to go as things cycle through.
Rogers Alonso's who came in this time by the way, as you see the 32 get on that high horse. Barry Sanders is the last car left to go on the racetrack. So the hope is on for the 88 for the caution dance. And this dance can last a fair bit of time for him, Real, Hauschild potentially, as well as maybe Mark Sanchez. They can go another up to 20 laps. Top 7, in fact, have yet to pit as some of those drivers continue to stretch forward on the run.
Yeah, clutch and coast seems to be the word of the day, or the words of the day rather, for a few of the guys running up at the front, hoping for a miracle here late in this one. And again, with where they were running, I don't blame them. Sean Rogers makes his pit stop. Davis has made his pit stop. So now it is only about 7 cars on the racetrack that have yet to pit. Murray in 8th, the first that has not. So here's the guys that are going to try this fuel strategy: Sanders, Real, Hauschild, Sanchez, Medina, Shade, and Oswornoth, who's well off the pace of these guys. In fact, a number of these cars are well off of these leaders' pace. Look at Real's clutch here. Listen to his throttle inputs as well. The lap times aren't there, but he's got a sizable lead over Alex Murray, so he's got a ways to go where he can coast and allow Murray to close that gap.
See that right there and heard that right there. Real playing an interesting strategy seems very committed to this at this point. And remember, we talked about this a little bit here in terms of the situation. Realistically, it's going to be very difficult to make it. You need to be aggressive on this save. Right now, Real has only a couple car lengths advantage over the 38 in the first place. For that advantage, you see the difference is Hochschild is not saving for his save as he almost plunges into the wall.
Yeah, curious to hear the call. Obviously, we know Real is clutching and coasting. I'm curious about the boss man, Barry Sanders, as well. His lead over Real is 8 seconds. His lead over Murray is 31 seconds on the racetrack. Murray just unlapped himself. Sanders doesn't appear to be saving either. So it appears the only guy really trying to save is Kenny Real. To me, it'd be worth it to just let these guys go. Let them go around you. Continue what you've been doing, trying to save gas, knowing that these guys are not trying to save gas. If I'm Kenny Real, I'm clutching and coasting and not caring who goes by me, at least for a little while.
Yeah, you're just hoping for a miracle at this point. Mind you, that the net lead, in terms of those who have pit at least, is within 8/10 wholesale. So all this is going to be on the mindset of Real needs to somehow, some way, save the gas. We're keeping an advantage of 20 seconds. Look how close some of these cars are getting. Hochschild not yet able to get the pass, by the way, on him. Is really backing up without the clutch and coast behind him.
He's committed to it. I'll give him that much. 24 to go when he comes back around the line, or rather Barry Sanders crosses the line, which he just did. And he's committed to it, and it appears as if Hochschild is committed to it behind him as well, the 38. The 38's not gone around Kenny Real yet, so curious here if Hochschild has adopted this strategy just a little bit. Their speeds in the middle of the corner, awfully similar. Perhaps two cars trying this strategy now, although this time Hochschild to the inside. Now he'll make the pass. Real continues to try to save some fuel.
See that right now with the 38 taking the advantage for that spot as here comes Vincent. Vincent trying to cut aggressively. Mind you, Vincent after his pit stop trying to pick up a lot of lost traction, at least in terms of positions on the board. Right there you see the small difference in terms of the speed between these two. These two just cannot seem to even separate from each other to let themselves think about this, let alone keep it stable yet.
Blake Hochschild just went straight into turn one, went into the outside wall, pretty much right front first. I'm not sure what the issue was there. Last time he came around the start-finish line, now he's going to go right back around Kenny Real as Kenny Real clutches down the front stretch, trying to save enough gas to make it. I'm not positive anybody can make it. It would be asking a lot. But they get the caution flag.
Oh my goodness, it's down the back straightaway. Ashwarnaw brings out the yellow flag. The 89 is around. Yellow flag is out. He was running 16th. I don't know what else to say, Dawson. I think your speech was too. The top on Alfonso's company replay just lost it.
I was actually really curious to see if that fuel save strategy for Kenny Real was going to work, but Osmanoff gets around. It's enough to draw the caution flag. And now you're into one of two camps. If you're in the top six, you're celebrating. That's the miracle that you needed. If you're seventh on back, that's frustration central for Alex Murray. On back to the guys that led this race. Now they're in a tough spot on what's going to be a really late restart.
This is huge, to say the very least. Pit road going to be very busy. Barry Sanders, again, amongst those yet to pit. Hochschild, Real, Sanchez, Shade, Medina, all stayed out and had yet to pit, hoping for the caution or the fuel save. And now as they come up to Zach, it gets wild. Davis amongst those who will have to take a wave around this caution.
Yeah, definitely down on pit road. A couple cars coming in. Obviously, the top six looking for their fuel, looking for their tires. You got 21 laps to go, and I think right now it's the battle of maintaining your track position. For the guys that were caught a lap down, take the wave around, go from there. But you know now that these top six drivers have that tire advantage. So this really just threw a wrench in everyone's party.
Yep, and everybody trying to figure out what they're going to do on strategy. Everybody going to take the tires Does anyone take 2 here or take a gamble? Mind you, last set likely here. Looks like 4 tires is the name of the game for everyone. Sanders already off and away. Real came out second. Gallimore did take 2 though. He jumped to 3rd off pit road.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the 4 tires is going to be the name of the game for most. A couple of guys going with 2 right there. I'll tell you, an unexpected or a little bit underrated winner of that cycle in terms of guys we're talking about. We know, Alex Murray, Matt Cox, they came in leading the race before that caution. The guys running in the top 6, obviously the biggest winners with that caution flag coming out. I'll give you another one, though. Nico Garcia, who has had such a supreme short-run car to the rest of the field, is going to get to line up in the 7th position for this restart with only what's going to be about 18 laps to go. And again, the best 20 to 25 lap car on the racetrack, and it wasn't particularly close. And now he doesn't have to save any equipment. He can just go for it. An underrated, like an overlooked winner of that whole cycle, I think, is the Garcia machine.
This could get really wild in the next moments or so, to say the very least. A lot of wave arounds this caution. Feder Place, Bowie, Wilson, plenty of others. Chris Davis also went around with the wave, believe. And so, as the sun getting ready to set pretty soon sets up, now we find out quite simply, can Sanders, now that he's given track position here, keep his car up front? He's had teammates run very well tonight, but he himself has been mid-pack all evening. Is track position that important?
Well, clean air tends to be that important. We'll see if it can keep the 88 up front and the 99 for that matter, who's also on 4 fresh tires on the front row. Sanders looking for win number 1 of 2026. Real looking for career win number 1 on the outside of the front row. Our driver profile tonight, can he get the job done from the outside of row 1? They've got some hungry cars behind them, though. Gallimore on 2, and then the fastest cars of the night, Murray, Cox, Garcia, Donaldson, and others. Back in the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone, green flag, a late restart from Kansas. Sanders off and running. Real didn't time it up very well. Does Murray think 3 wide into turn 1?
Now it's the huge part. Who's going to get the run? Murray got a little loose. Outside Murray getting really loose. Garcia gives him a shot. They all check up 3 wide in the battle for 3rd. Cox driving by several of them. Already alongside Murray. Murray drifts up the racetrack as Garcia tries to find a way to get around and gets boxed in.
I was curious about the short run speed of Garcia as he tries to knife his way through the field of the best short run car on track tonight. Back to turn 1, Real half a lane up. Murray goes to the wall to the high rent district. Cox looks for second on Kenny Real. Murray rips the fence, gets all the way to the outside of Cox, has to live for Kenny Real. Sanders is loving this, driving away as the boss man with 6 car lengths of an advantage and 16 laps to go at the line. Cox to the inside of Real, that's for second. If he clears, it's mano a mano. Cox against the boss man, 16 to go. Here comes the Bears Chevrolet.
All of a sudden, Cox looking to try and build up the momentum quickly in the BMP entry. Behind him, the slide on for Garcia for initially a slow reel through. Speaking of Real, he's trying to go for 3rd. The red line entry to the inside gets fed dirty air. And right now, Real really focused to see what happens in front because Garcia is going for 2nd.
And some trouble further back. Donaldson and Gallimore both took a trip to the infield grass. It's not going to draw the caution, but both cars lost a number of their positions inside the top 10. Off turn 2, Sanders continues to lead, but here's the rail run. Garcia, huge drive into turn 3, dives all the way to the white paint. This is for the lead. Garcia alongside. He's past Sanders. Can he clear up off 4? It's close. At the line will be 14 to go. Sanders battles back. Cox into the picture. Murray gets by Real for 4th. A classic brewing in Kansas.
Side by side with Garcia trying to make the move. Inside line. Garcia sweeps up. He's got the lead, taking it away from Sanders. He looks to run away. More than 110 laps led for Garcia tonight. And with less than 14 to go, he looks to try and put a bookend to this performance.
Yeah, and further back, third, Murray on the inside of Cox. As we see some of the laps led, look at the number for Garcia. He ticks another one on right there. It's 13 to go, 112 laps led at Kansas tonight. The best car from 30 to 35 laps is driving away right now. Cox and Murray have to get by Barry Sanders first. Murray going to try to make 2 for 1. The inside of Cox in turn 3, trying to get the third spot. Sanders needs him a little bit of dirty air. Kenny Real still watching on, by the way. This gamble's paid off nicely for that red line 99 as he runs in the 5th spot. Same for Hochschild, who runs in 6th, and for Medina, who runs in 8th. Jose Medina, how about it for him? Cox to the fence. They're trying everything they can to get anywhere close to the 8.
Trying to figure out what they can do to try and get that race lead back. Remember, Garcia got a little bit loose. That cost him a chance earlier. Cox, though, trying to find a way around Sanders. That is a teammate to Garcia. Trying to find a way quickly to make the move. Coming now, 11 laps to go. They have to get the pass done fast to the 88 if they want any chance at Garcia. Cox going to run the wall.
They're running out of laps here, JP. I just don't think there's enough time left knowing what Garcia's had under that car. Anywhere in this short run territory, we went back green with 18 laps to go. That's plenty for Garcia not to have to save an ounce, and he is still driving away. 0.8 of a second, almost 8.5 tenths off turn 4. Cox unable to get past Barry Sanders, who essentially plays some defense now for the 8 running in front of him as Garcia drives away potentially into the sunset here with 10 laps to go.
Right now, Sanders doing a phenomenal job on defense to hold on to this spot. The gap already 8 tenths for the race lead. Murray falls behind Cox. Both of them try and run the top. Sanders, for most of the night, had ran in the teens. He's a plus 27. Didn't set a qualifying lap tonight. Now we'll look to try and hold back the pressure. Cox is backing up his entries. Murray's trying to send it in amongst some of these corners here to the inside. Your biggest mover continues to play well defensively on the lines as Murray searches to try and find a way around the 32.
These guys are basically out of time at this point. If they can't make this pass the next couple of laps, Garcia's opened up a 1 second lead. It's about 15 car lengths back to the battle for second, where Sanders continues to hold back 2 cars who are on newer tires, or rather the same tires, but have been fast all night long. They cannot find a way around, and Murray now up to the high rent district. Kenny Real behind them up into the penthouse as well, both trying to find some clean air to make this pass. It's just not working. Where do you get desperate? Murray to the inside here, 7 to go at the line, and he can't make the pass on Cox either. These guys are stuck, and Garcia continues to scoot away.
All of this as well as they try and figure out a way to go. Real is still maintaining the top 5 behind him. What a phenomenal end of the race for Real after he had slipped back a bit with one of his slides earlier on. Now in line for one of his best runs all season. Davis, by the way, still back there. Medina still in the top 10 for the caution period. Few of those that got the yellow flag able to at least maintain the track position they got with the gamble of staying out. Hence why you take the gamble in the first place. After all, there is a casino in turn 2.
I was just going to mention the Hollywood Casino up outside of turn 2 here at Kansas Speedway, and for Kenny Real, it's almost like he drew at 21. He drew blackjack here. If he continues this result, this would be his best result of the season and headed into a place where we expect him to be fast trouble. Sanders gets turned almost by Alex Murray. The 88 got hit. Desperation finally got to the 22 as there was contact. Real goes by both of them for third. Cox now with one more last desperate shot at Garcia for the win.
Just like that. That kicks Sanders out of the top 5, just about. Top 4, should say, is now his. Murray will at least give a bump to Sanders for that 4th position. Under 5 to go. Caution flag is out. Yellow flag on the speedway, and it's Blade Wilson who puts us under yellow. Paul Gallimore also collected, and this will set up a ferocious end of this one.
A restart inside of 5 to go. Certainly going to be as calamity-filled as it can possibly be. Obviously, it's back behind the Murray and Sanders battle. This is back around a 3-wide battle with Gallimore Wilson and King, they pinball off of each other. Gallimore bounces off the 12, then bounces off the 18. Both of them go spinning to the apron, and that is enough to draw the caution and send us to a late race restart.
You see right here, Gallimore ran a little bit lower of a line initially. 3 wide, just too much higher up. The 11 squishing into King, and that puts us under the yellow with the slide.
3 wide typically works at Kansas, but when you start to pinball off the car on the outside and the car on the inside, eventually something's got to give, and for Gallimore it does right here. You'll see they play a little bit of pinball first right there, and the second hit is the one that gets that BMP entry out of shape. Wilson, there's nowhere he could really go.
And as a result here with this situation, green-white checker finish likely going to be triggered here. Back part of the field with the wave arounds take tires. Oh, this gets interesting here, Dawson. Do you think there's enough time for people on fresh tires to do anything with it? They'll have to come from 12th on back.
For the win, I doubt it. It would take an extreme miracle or some calamity at the front of the field, which is not out of the picture considering the players that are up here. But to get to the win, I doubt it. In 2 laps, that's a lot to ask, especially in this Gen 7 race car. It's been so volatile on handling, especially tonight. I don't think you can get to the win. You can absolutely get to a top 7 finish, maybe a top 5 finish almost, depending on how good of a restart that you get, how good of a launch you get through turn 1 as well. So to get all the way to the Garcia-Cox battle for the win, I'm not positive. You can definitely make something of your night, though.
So Garcia will look to try to play some defense. Zach, to you.
I just think the biggest question mark here coming off the restart is where do you position your car? You try to stay on the top, right? But when you come off the corner, you might get boxed in by a car coming up from the bottom, washing up, or do you go to the bottom and try to make a power move, right? But you might get someone loose with that arrow coming off the back of the car. So that's the biggest question mark right now. How aggressive are you going to be? If you're a guy like Kenny Reel, you're sitting P3 right now. Take P3, right? Or are you going to push hard, try to force a 3 wide situation? I think the biggest thing, though, is if that 8 machine starts rolling right off the bat, he's gone.
And now let's find out how this is going to go. Again, 1 attempt at a green-white checkered. If we get the caution before the white, race is over. If we get the white flag, it's a race simply to the finish line. Again, Van Louis Sticker's restart zone going to be important for Matt Cox and several of the others. They want a shot at Garcia.
Well, that's the tough part as the drivers. You want to time it up, but you can't get a penalty if you're Matt Cox going too early when Garcia goes to fire off in the restart zone. So you got to try to listen for him to fire first, but then you got to fire as close to him as possible and be 2 wide into turn 1. The way Garcia's restarted tonight is the control car. I don't see a way that he doesn't get clear to turn 1. Kenny Reel's an interesting car to watch here, though. Remember back on Sunday, Kyle Larson threw it 3 wide into turn 1 on the bottom. Kenny Reel in that position now to potentially make this very interesting when they rise the banking.
Here we go. Van Louis Sticker's restart zone. Green flag is out. Cox, decent launch. Garcia, still a better one. Garcia's clear. They head off to turn 1. Cox trying to figure out any way to keep up and set up that Chevy.
He'll get some dirty air through turns 1 and 2, trying to get everything he can out of it. Got a pretty good exit off turn 2. They're starting to try to crash further back, though. Can they keep it green back to the white flag? 3 wide with Alex Murray as he gets swallowed up there on the back straightaway. Cox to the inside, trying to make something of it. Does the car stick off 4? It does. Garcia drives away. White flag, 1 lap to go at Kansas.
That's brought to you by League Gaming. Can Cox find a way to get to Garcia? Can Garcia get his first win of the season? Garcia plants it through 1 and 2. Now he tries to build the distance. Will Cox try and set it? They're wrecking on the back straightaway in the back of the field. Gallimore and several more scatter back. But it's going to be Nico Garcia. He's your boy who goes to victory lane at Kansas.
Bit of a redemption hit for him from Darlington, a race that it looked like he was going to go to victory lane there to get his first win. It doesn't go his way. It does go his way tonight. He's a winner in the GMD Janitorial Cup Series, his first coming at Kansas. Look at the lineup getting ready to congratulate him.
Only took a few races, but Garcia is the one who breaks through here tonight. Keep an eye on him for later in the season, to say the least. Oh boy, he and Sanders are stuck together somehow. I think Davis is also trying to join in on the hug. This is going to be a good opportunity for Garcia to go to Victory Designs Victory Lane here tonight. It is Nico Garcia, first time into Victory Lane and the MRL. Garcia tonight 126 laps led. Come away with the victory to Cox's 48-7 for Davis, 4 for Murray, 15 for Barry Sanders. All showed what led a lap as well tonight. But it was all car 8 off the short and mid run whenever he had clean air. We see exactly why. He had good momentum coming in. He takes that momentum into this break. We come back. We'll go to Victory Designs Victory Lane, Kansas Speedway. Home of tonight's action, the MAT Liveries 300. You're watching Precision Entertainment. Welcome back to tonight's coverage of the Moonshiners Racing League, as tonight it ends up going the way of Garcia over Cox and Real. The difference, 0.669 seconds. A nice order for Garcia. Brian Fennerplace and Alex Murray getting themselves to the top 5, with Davis, Donaldson amongst the top 7. Donaldson on debut doing well this evening. Harper, Sanders, Rogers, your top 10, Dawson.
Yeah, working back outside of the top 10. Jose Medina wanted a top 10 there, but I think he'll take that for sure in 11th after he gambled on the same strategy as Kenny Real and company. Brandon Bowie, 12th. Alex Coffey, 13th, recovers pretty nicely to get a decent finish tonight. Top 15 for Matt Nettler. Didn't say his name tonight. Blake Hawshield in the 15th spot. Ryan Catalano never got back inside the top 10 in 16th. Paul Gallimore in 17th. Nigel Christensen doesn't end the way he wants it to. Same for Blaine Wilson, 18th and 19th. It's the aero entry of Aaron Matthews that goes 20th.
21st goes the way of Greg Carr. Mark Sanchez, Johnny Shade, and Chris Vincent all finished on the lead lap, parts of the chaos. Then it was Swarnoff who brought out the caution flag that triggered the chaos in pit, followed by King, Carmichael, Treat, Moore, Mills, your top 30. William Owens, your first DNF of the night, dead last tonight. We'll do 3, 2, 1 once again for your post-race coverage. Dawson, I know you want a chance to speak with this one. Kenny Real is with you.
Well, Kenny Real, obviously exactly what the doctor ordered. Let's go first to the gamble. I want to ask a two-part question. First off, before the caution, were you going to be able to make it on fuel? And second off, after the caution, just take me through how you navigated the late race restarts to land a third-place finish.
Yeah, I was right on the money. I was about to be a lap to the good when the caution came out, so I was hoping that went green, and I was kind of frustrated at that, but it is what it is. It gave us a net gain out of it, and I don't know, I'm kind of confused on how I end up getting a P3 there, but I'll take it.
Well, absolutely you will. It's exactly what the doctor ordered for you. And, as we've seen the speed come into this car throughout the season, tonight seems like the breakout moment for you at the Red Line camp. Coming over from the Super Speedway side, take me through what it's been like to try to dial in these race cars week in, week out, and take me through what it means to get this kind of finish to really jumpstart your season.
Yeah, it's hard because I don't know, like I'm new to the open side of it, especially with adjustments to make. Like earlier, we were a little bit snug in the center, and I just went crazy with adjustments. And after that, the car felt great. And yeah, it's nice to come out here and race with these guys that race a bunch and are really good on the ovals. I started on the oval side, but transferred to the super speedway side. So it's a little gratifying to come out here and run top 10 with them. The top 3 is really good, but it's really good to get a P3. I'm pretty happy with the performance today, and hopefully we can continue on going to Dega next week.
Well, let's look forward to it. We know what you bring to the super speedway side. We know you're also bringing a team full of super speedway ringers, if you will, to that race. Educate the viewers a little bit. What can we expect from the Redline camp next week when we get to Talladega?
Just a bunch of hard racing. You're going to see a bunch of probably crazy blocks thrown. Hopefully it don't destroy the field. I'm sure one of them will at the end of the race, but it's going to be hard racing all race. I'm sure you'll see some fuel saving, which that'll probably be in the beginning, but it just depends on how much fuel we got. If we can make it to the stage, it'll be hard racing through stages 1 and 2. Then at the end, probably a lot of fuel saving. And then last 10 laps, it's going to be really aggressive. People ain't going to give an inch. I know my teammates are definitely not going to give it an inch. So yeah, it's going to be fun to go out there and race with these boys and see what they got on the super speedways with the kind of team I got that are from that side of it.
Career best finish for you tonight here at Kansas, though, P3. Who would you like to thank or shout out?
I just want to give a shout out to Precision Setups. All them guys over there, great setup guys. You can find their setups at precisionsetups.gg. The Jack Shack, Redline Racing, and great group guys over there, and all the admins and you guys for putting on an amazing broadcast as always.
Kenny, thanks for your time. Congrats on a career best finish tonight in Kansas.
Thank you.
Kenny Real comes away in the 3rd spot here tonight. 2nd spot, Matt Cox looked like he might have been able to come away with the win for parts of this one, but he's with Jagger Finley.
Hello, Matt.
Jagger, what's up, brother?
What's up? How's it going? Well, you looked pretty strong all day today. Definitely later in. Looked like you were probably maybe going for contention for the win. Fortunately, you didn't get it. What was going through your head close towards the end?
What part, man? It feels like the end was a whole race of its own. I mean, during the fuel run, I was pretty confident, I was going to win. I had a couple lap advantage on Murray, and I think he was the first car on tires, and I was kind of just biding my time and getting to him. I don't know if I would have been able to pass him, passing pretty hard, but we would have had a fun race. And then, the yellows came, and you got put back a little bit. That made things a little more difficult. And Nico was just better at getting through the traffic than I was there. He had a really fast car and was really good on the short run. So by the time I was able to clear traffic, it's probably a done deal either way. I didn't think I'd be able to get back to him. And I gave it all I could on the green-white checker there and couldn't get there. So P2 it is.
Yeah. Well, next week we have Talladega. Very, very chaotic track. Definitely a rowdy bunch here too. What are you hoping to do? Maybe any strategies you're looking forward to next week?
Rowdy? You think we're rowdy? Yeah,
maybe.
You're probably right. Next week, just gonna go buy the lottery ticket and see if my number gets called. I typically wreck out of every plate race we go to, either my fault or not. I suck at plate races, and I always find myself in the middle of the wreck. So if we can avoid it, then maybe you got a chance. But I'm not gonna hold my breath. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, anyone you want to thank? Anyone you want to shout out?
Man, I feel like I shout the same thing out every single week. You know what? We're not doing shout outs this week. Shout out me. Go me. One for me.
That's fair. All right. Good job getting P2. See you next week.
Appreciate it. We'll see you. Have a good night, guys.
That was Matt Cox coming away in 2nd, but the trip to Victory Designs Victory Lane, that's where you'll find Nico Garcia coming away with the win tonight. Congratulations on win number 1 here at the MRL. How does it feel to win here at Kansas?
Oh man, I'm ecstatic, to be honest with you. It's my home track. I'm from, I live in Kansas, so it's awesome, man. I wasn't really expecting to be as fast as I was tonight. I put it on pole, and I was like, well, if I could stay here, it'll finish up kind of nice for me. But yeah, I mean, this 8 Chevrolet, man, this thing was hot all night. Just big props to the team and to Premier Racing Setups, man, for allowing me to put this thing where it needed to be and finish good.
Yeah, in terms of the race itself, you had the speed, it seemed, in the short and mid-run, but what was going through your mind when you had to fight several times to recover that race lead back where you lost that ground and had to deal with dirty air a couple times?
Yeah, man, dirty air is horrible on these things. And I can, watching a relative as, we get towards the 35, 40 lap run, and I can just start to see them, they chip away, a couple tenths here, a couple tenths there. And once I got in front of me, this car wasn't really that great in dirty air tonight. So I had to make some really aggressive moves and some really aggressive adjustments to get this thing to rotate in the corner a little bit more than the guys in front of me, so I can get the left front out. Left front air, left front, getting air on that left front really helps this thing rotate. So if I was able to do that with a loose car, I felt really fast. So that was really the plan. But yeah, just trying to fight and stay up front as long as I could tonight.
So with that note, how do you feel about your team's speed for Talladega next week?
Oh man, we're looking really good. So it should be a fantastic show to put on for all viewers that show up next week to watch. But I think this Aero team, we're going to definitely be a force to reckon with. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. Bring on Dega.
Anyone to want to give a shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, big shout out to Aero, and then Barry Sanders. Let let me pilot this number 8 machine. Outlet Design eSports, Premier Racing Setups, and you guys up in the booth for putting out a great show. Broadcast looks great every week, man. So you guys do a fantastic job up here, and thanks for letting us do what we do. So you guys are the best.
Congratulations on the win here tonight and a trip to Victory Designs Victory Lane, your first this season.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Dick Garcia joining us from Victory Lane. Next time out, Talladega will bring the roar of motors there. That'll be April the 29th for an 8 p.m. start time here on Precision Entertainment. But before that mark, lots of final thoughts to get to. First things first, turn to you, Zach, your thoughts on Kansas as that leads us into our next race. I'll try Jager this time. Jager, are you there? Let's try third time's the charm. Dawson, you there?
Well, yeah, I got you, JP. And look, a lot to get to indeed. And, obviously it all starts with Garcia. I think that's the first story and what we should be looking at. A guy that dominated the race, 126 lap sled, as you noted earlier. The best short run car, mid run car in the field. Deserved to win this race when it went to a late restart and got to victory lane. Again, you could argue he should have 2 wins this season after taking the lead late at Darlington. It goes his way tonight, so a huge congratulations to him and that whole team. But some great runs tonight to talk about beyond just the win. The resiliency of Kenny Reel to make the gamble. You heard him say he could have won this race, but to finish third, a huge run for him. Brandon Fetter placed, by the way, 3rd in points, 4th tonight at Kansas. Big run for him. Braden Donaldson, 7th in his debut. Timothy Harper recovers to finish 8th. Barry Sanders lands in top 10. Jose Medina, 11th. So many great stories, great runs. Matt Metler in 14th. A ton of great runs to talk about tonight as well. So a number of guys surviving chaos at times, but also playing the right strategy in the case of a guy like Kenny Reel and making it happen. I'll tell you what, though, as we leave Kansas, I always get a little bit giddy, the race fan in me, when we head to a place like Talladega. Looking forward to being here with the Moonshiners Racing League next week. Looking forward to being there this weekend as well for the NASCAR events. It's always fun to go to NASCAR's biggest and baddest, and what better place to go after Kansas than the best track on the circuit, Talladega Superspeedway.
Yes, indeed, and it's time to say goodbye for tonight's coverage. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in once again for tonight. For Zach Case, for Jagger Finley, for Dawson Wise, for Ryan Bauer, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. To the rest of your evening, you've been watching the MAT Liveries 300 for the Moonshiners Racing League. We'll see you next time out from Talladega.
Wide-knuckle grip in the neon light, trading pain in the heart of the fight, shifting gears till the edge feels right. Start 'em up, hear the engines cry. Let the thunder roll, leave no doubt. All or nothing when the checkers come out. Doors beating doors in an all-out fight. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Wednesday night. Legends born in the heat of the fight, trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Every track has a story to tell. Every wall has been one driver's hell. Back in the saddle we go. Ring the bell like a moonshiner. We're riding on rails. Checkers all records. Send it in, set sail. Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Oh. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night.